That's it.
Yeah,
It
well,
it's
there's plenty of
not
people with like
showing anything.
personal Facebooks or whatever that are like
Okay.
that from their internet persona entirely. I don't
All
know.
right.
I don't do that. I don't do Facebook.
Who do I?
All right, we should be good to go here. And we're live. So welcome. It is I, Burger Weister, and I'm joined by Rangi-Nui and Unity reviews and such. And then Sano Sauro should be joining us a bit later.
Yep.
So this
Yeah.
is
He's got his token weeb and his token Asian. Now he just needs the token liberal.
Yay.
true.
Yay.
Yeah, so I guess a bit about Dead Domain. Dead Domain is a non-binary leftist YouTuber that, well, I don't know much of what they cover. I know they've done a video on Synthetic Man that is pretty solid for the most part, and I would advise people check that out. And they've also done a video here on Captain America 4 or Captain America Brave New World, which is, I think, a mixed bag. So let's get into it.
Yeah, told you guys this before stream, but I don't know anything about this guy.
Yep. And yeah, I'm still waiting for the stream
Look,
to happen.
it's happening
You know.
now.
Oh, I mean you know, so I can
He's
watch this
waiting for the
video.
notification.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
I just need to see the screen for that domain's
Oh,
video.
I think he means
Oh,
he's waiting for you to share the screen.
Yeah.
Worked on Bionic.
well,
Yeah. Burger, answer for this. Why do you allow random YouTubers to work on Bionicle? You're
what
a
are you
Bionicle
talking about? What are
person.
you talking about?
Oh, I'm
This
responding to the chat. Jeremy U's review said Dead Domain also worked on Bionicle.
Huh. I didn't know that.
So I'm asking you
Interesting.
to answer for the entire Bionicle fandom.
Shit, I have no answers for that. Sorry, Jeremy. Sorry,
I will say
everybody.
it's not a bad username, Dead Domain. It is a
No, that's a
cool.
good username. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. From what I've seen, Dead Domain seems pretty solid overall as far as content goes.
Dead Domain
I have
also-
mixed emotions on the Cap 4 video here. Except, yeah.
Look, it's not going to surprise anyone to call the new Captain America film, Brave New World, propaganda. And being the
Ghost
30th
energy
something
things
film
are
in the MCU amid a spate
not
of
as good as my normal energy drinks.
unremarkable, two
Huh.
pretty bad films, in the last few years, I don't
No, I
think it's going to
usually like
surprise
the
anyone to hear
rain
that it's just
stuff.
not very good either. The film has had a tumultuous. It's
Hold on.
not going to surprise.
But it was cheaper in the store.
Make sure we get all that.
Look, it's not going to surprise anyone to call the new Captain America film, Brave New World, propaganda. And being the 30th something.
I think that's a pretty bold start to declare that the movie's propaganda straight away. I don't know about that one.
Oh, this is the thing. Anything could technically be used as propaganda. The difference between propaganda and media, generally, in my opinion at least, is what the intentions behind it being made were.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how well.
I think Sano can speak more to this because I know he
No,
knows
fuck you.
propaganda.
Maybe it's propaganda in one of the 20 different rewrites they did during shooting. But that's mother as shit now.
Film in the MCU amid a spate of unremarkable, two pretty bad films. In the last few years, I don't think it's going to surprise anyone to hear that it's just not very good either. The film has
everything
had
like
a
that.
tumultuous path to movie screens, from the original title, New World Order, being changed since its 2022 announcement, to the much publicized reshoots and last minute changes, so it's no surprise that the end result is a muddled mess that somehow feels both like reheated leftovers, yet still undercooked at the same time. More than most films, even in Marvel's oeuvre, it feels designed by an algorithm rather than any real human interaction. Fight scenes are lifeless and lack impact, but they dutifully appear at a regular clip whenever you might find yourself checking your phone. Every rousing speech and emotional moment is undercut by withering sarcastic remarks or jokes, no matter how ill-fitting for the tone of the scene.
Yeah,
but more than the very obvious failings as a film, let alone a follow.
Sorry, it's not pausing.
Can you roll that back a bit?
Yeah, I was about to say, I think I agree with that point about the tone was definitely a problem.
Human interaction. Fight scenes are lifeless and lack impact, but they dutifully appear at a regular
this is
clip.
like what the phase 4 phase 5.
I guess
this is not even the worst.
Say anything, I'd say
okay, Sano.
Stand on that other than just lifeless and lack impact, because
so
true,
Sano, I was saying that I think it feels like an overly bold start to go. Yeah, the movie's propaganda. I don't know. What do you think of that? Oh, he's still.
Give me a second.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh, I see what Jeremy was referring to. There was a Bionicle game. There's a video game, a fan-made one that was getting made, and Lego dropped the hammer on it, and they copyright struck it, so they're not making the game anymore. They're not allowed to. That's what the Mask of Power thing is.
Oh, okay. Wait, so they were making they were making a licensed one, or they were making like a fan project?
It's a fan project thing, and then they got shut down. Yeah.
Oh, it's
a real bummer.
Yeah, that sucks. I hope they manage to take that work and do something original with it. Then.
Yeah.
That's kind of your best bet there.
Should we just restart the video at this point? We're not that far in.
I was gonna say we might as well restart it.
All right, so we can just shoot the shit until Sano
the person
gets on. Yeah,
a bit fast.
I think a talking speed is fine.
Yeah, no, just that wasn't.
I've seen it twice though, so there's that.
I just wasn't paying enough attention. Let me get the other earbud in.
Fair. Oh wait, Santa, I thought I heard him talk.
Well, now I did. Hi.
What's up? So we're going from the start again. So.
Gotcha. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Look, it's not going to surprise anyone to call the new Captain America film, Brave New World, propaganda. And being the 30th something...
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a bold start to the video, and Dead Domain sort of doesn't elaborate on that for a while, I feel like.
Yeah,
and they also didn't define the term means.
Because they're lefty. I'm wondering if they don't mean it's like pro-Americanism propaganda.
That's part of it.
It is, yeah, that's part of it. It's in the sense, I think, and my memory could be very wrong. In the sense of like, this is like Disney's movie that's going to release after the election. So what does Disney have to say to Americans about, like, that's what this movie is centrally about, in part, is about, like, bipartisanship, I guess. Sorta? Kinda?
That's what yeah.
The fuck, man? There's like, do you know how many ideas this movie has? Like, there's like wiped out completely. Like the first version is like written like as a black BLM shit, and then it's like suddenly it's made into I don't know, anti-Nazi stuff, and then
this
it's all over the place.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
So what it ends up being is that it's a mishmash of things to the point that nothing actually emerges as a result. It just kind of do better, Senator.
And that is sort of the point Dead Domain goes for here as well.
Yeah.
Later
I feel
on.
like the point, in order for something to be propaganda, it kind of needs to be made with that purpose in mind.
I don't know about that one.
It can end up being that even without them intending that, because you could theoretically draw that out of the movie, even if it's not
can
trying.
Be made into like propaganda by if you're able to attach an idea in the public consciousness to it, I guess. But
sure,
I don't know.
I just
if
think
you're
this is
if you're trying to convey an idea, maybe centrally, then
I
sure.
don't even know.
But I don't know if
I don't know
we
if
could
that
say that this
Like,
movie would actually reach that pinnacle of having a core idea.
Good lord.
I
If you
just
ask
think
what
it's
this,
a bit of a bold start for the video to
Sure.
say that.
To you, amid a spate of unremarkable to pretty bad films in the last few
Sure,
years,
yeah.
I don't think it's going to surprise anyone to hear that it's just not very good.
I think we should probably take this time to lay out our take on Cap 4. I think I can speak for all of us in that we think it's trash.
Yes.
I don't. I just remember it was really funny.
Yeah, I remember it pretty funny at points. Except,
If
yeah,
you
we
want
all
me
think it's
to,
garbage, so we are in agreement
it's
on
garbage.
It
Dead
was boring
Domain
If you
as
as
ask
shit.
being
me,
Yeah, it was
terrible.
Funny.
It's actually the upper half when it comes to the Phase 5 movies. Like, you have to remember
Well,
how
there aren't that
insane
many
that
of them, so I mean,
there's
yeah.
6 of them.
Yeah,
I could see that.
Snippets. I remember snippets of the movie. I'm probably the one that remembers the movie the least.
I think you are.
I remember, like, in broad strokes what happened.
I
might
remember in
remember it.
detail.
Yeah, I think Unity or I probably remember it the best.
The geopolitics part of it the most, which actually isn't like the central conflict of it, but also is. So
either.
Yeah.
The film has had a tumultuous path to movie screens from the original title New World Order being changed since its 2022 announcement to the much publicized reshoots and last minute changes, so it's no surprise that the end result is a muddled mess that somehow feels both like reheated leftovers yet still undercooked.
Yeah, that's accurate. I think that's fair.
At the same time, more than most films, even in Marvel's oeuvre, it feels designed by an algorithm rather than any real human interaction. Fight scenes are lifeless and lack impact, but they dutifully appear at a regular clip whenever you might find yourself checking your phone. Every rousing speech and emotional moment is undercut by withering sarcastic remarks or jokes, no matter how ill-fitting for the tone of the
I wouldn't say all of them are. I would say it has a problem with tone. It just doesn't manifest in the way that Dead Domain's describing it.
Yeah, I think this is more of a genre.
This has been a problem overall too, so it's like
I think that's kind of the problem, is that like it's a Marvel problem overall, but it's being like the criticism itself is being transposed onto like, well, it's John Marvel, so obviously all the John Marvel criticisms apply exactly to this, which
I mean, I'd say a lot of them probably do, just not in the ways you'd expect them in some cases, like with this.
But
it's
like,
more so just jumping scene to scene is just super awkward because it'll be like something
Jeremy,
tragic.
I understand the reason they can't make it an Incredible Hulk sequel is because they don't have the rights.
They don't. Yeah, they co-own it with Warner, or no? I think Universal just owns it entirely. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
like
for a solo movie without Universal.
All right,
specifically thinking of like the last speech. I don't think it ends in a like it gets cut off by like a joke. They try to play it pretty straight. I think it's just not a very good speech.
It's weird because I'm thinking this entire film was I don't think anything is tried undercut with a joke. It's just like
I think the problem. Yeah, I think the problem I caught was more it would go from a serious scene to suddenly what's his name in Falcon in a Lambo.
Oh God,
like,
yeah.
Shouting.
So
it's just total whiplash more than anything else, I think.
Yeah, I would agree.
Like seeing the scene, total whiplash. Then
the problem is that if you're gonna undercut something, you have to have like something standing tall to be undercut, and well, alas.
I get what that might have been what they were aiming for with this point. I don't think they quite like described it accurately.
Scene.
Sure.
But more than the very obvious failings as a film, let alone a follow-up to the well-regarded Captain America Winter Soldier or Captain America Civil War, Brave New World is good for one thing, and that is being a perfect encapsulation of this moment in culture. By which I mean it is a feckless, cowardly, cynical corporate product that feigns an interest in being a genuine story of strength through adversity, all the while undermining and overriding the very real suffering of people that led to this moment. If it's indicative...
Huh? I literally don't understand what a single word just said. It's just a lot of big words.
Yeah, well, I understood it. I'm kind of like
trying to think about. Yeah, it's sort of you have to think about that.
It's a corporate product with the idea of politics in it, but it doesn't have any actual politics. It's kind of the vague idea they're going with.
That seems to be what Dead Domain is communicating. Yeah, I think that's what they're saying. In which case,
without having
I think I'd probably agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I have criticism of the video so far, I feel like they aren't making their points clear enough.
That's fair. I think that they will eventually substantiate everything that they're saying here. I think this is like a thesis at the start. So they'll go back to them. But like the problem is that like if you can list all your points at the start, by the last point, you're now like 10 minutes removed from when the point was made. So
yeah, I think this is an odd format to start it, to initiate the video with. I think that
of any new world, it's because it feels like watching the last gasp of American cultural dominance. There are so many things.
What?
Yeah,
I literally did not understand what you just said. You fuck.
It's the last breath of American cultural dominance, or something like that.
You fuck! I'm not in America. How about you?
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot that's just being said without elaboration here, and you just have to take a lot in it all at once. I feel like
that feels like
that means jack shit to me.
Kind of have to lay out, because we still do go and watch Hollywood movies. We still watch like a lot of American stuff. It is generally America that's depicted on a lot of these shows that do become international products. Not always. There is, and there's definitely other cultural influence. I mean, I'm a weeb. I know.
With this film that surprisingly the story.
Well, I think that like it's trying to say that like even though there's financial success still being tied to a lot of American products, that like a great deal of like the heavy hitters in the American box office, the things that are like reaching international markets, aren't that impactful in terms of like story or ideas.
Yeah,
if this made like $2 bajillion overseas, like what are people actually going to take away from this movie that like will go, woo, yeah, American culture? Not fucking much, because there's not much to the movie in the first place.
I don't even know what to say about this one.
Well, that's true. I don't know. Like I said, I feel like this is another one of those. I don't know what they mean by that.
I mean, like this one, I think just connects directly back to the last one, where like if we assume that the general trend is that a lot of things are being produced that have a lot of money behind them, make a lot of money, but say fucking nothing, then if those are the things that like we're producing and sending overseas and that the most eyes are seeing, then the like actual ideas that we're promulgating overseas are like not much of anything.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I kind of understand that, and I can kind of like. I don't know if you can say that necessarily about the.
About America as a whole, yeah.
This movie, it's definitely true.
Yes, absolutely. And then I would say also, if you consider like the Disney remakes and then the amount of sequels, that sort of shit, I think if we were being really like mad at the state of the box office, you can say this for sure.
Yeah, especially like these bigger brands,
like the Minecraft movie. You know, like what impact does that have overseas? Fucking nothing. It doesn't say anything. It's a shitty movie.
It says, what do you mean? It said first we mine and then we craft.
That is an excellent point, Rangi. I have learned that we must go to the mines.
Well, yeah, the trailer said, as a child, I yearned for the mines.
Exactly.
Fuck you.
Least among them. Kinda, sorta. If you care about that, know after this point I will be spoiling pretty much everything that hasn't already been spoiled by marketing, so consider this your spoiler warning. When people talk about Marvel beginning to scrape the bottom of the barrel for directions to take the franchise in, this movie is a perfect example. With major characters like Captain America and Iron Man retired after the Infinity Saga, and 30 plus films where the villains almost always die at the end, it's left the creatives in a bit of an obvious lurch where they need to keep finding new characters to introduce, but also don't have any of the big names.
I
Huh?
sure.
Huh?
I just don't know how
Huh?
that ties into anything.
Yeah,
What
this
do you
is
mean? What do you mean by Mnames? You fuck you
um
remember Iron Man
sort of
saying a
like
big name
Well,
in the before the MCU is
I,
begin?
well, there's an obvious hole in this. His name is Thor.
well, I think it's more the problem I would take with this is that we are presuming that there's just genuinely oh no, we're out of comic book characters. I guess we're just fucking sunk and can't invent a new character. We just literally
true.
we can't make
What
we can't make something up from scratch. We can't do it.
The other
what
funny
the
thing
fuck
is
is that?
they
Fuck's the
they
brain cell
yeah, they're out of
happening?
comic book characters. It's not like there's a well, I don't know, Doom on
Yeah,
the
but
Oh
also
no,
we
it's not
also
like we have. It's not like we
we're
have so
also
many
the
other characters in
Spider-Man villain.
use.
we're also putting a lot of primacy on name recognition as a point of merit. You ought to have a recognizable name within your cast in order for your story to gain traction, I suppose. As if the
What the
fact that we have villains that people don't recognize off the bat is the problem with Marvel right now. Which
fuck? That was
Yeah, I'm
never a
not.
problem.
Yeah, no.
That was
no,
never
I
a
don't
problem.
not
You
at all.
fuck.
Yeah,
I'm
well, even in the MCU, like I said, big names we can bank on. Like I said, Thor is still around.
okay. That's because
You have
the only
Hulk
reason that
still
why they're
around.
big names now is because the MCU make them
Deadpool
popular. They were
just now
never big
around.
name.
Yeah,
Deadpool was
Oh
never
yeah.
a big name in the comic before the Deadpool movies. The Deadpool movies make them a lot more popular than he was. And
Same
I
thing
mean
for
the
Iron
big
Man.
name,
Yeah.
the
Wait,
A-listers in
actually,
Marvel Comics. I'm gonna be serious here. Are the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and Spider-Man. The Avengers are never the big names.
yeah, they weren't. No, I think Iron Man
Oh
was
yeah, that's a
kind
good.
of known about, but he wasn't really an A-tier hero back in the day.
Okay,
What I
like
know.
Oh yeah, that's a good
if
point, Jeremy. Jeremy pointed out that. Oh yeah, I think that was on our one of our comments about how Guardians of the Galaxy before the MCU was nobody knew who they were. Now they're household names.
Uh, also, wait. So, they are running out of big names. Didn't they don't they have the rights to the X-Men now?
They do.
Magneto.
They own Fox, so yeah, they own the X-Men now.
Yeah. So you have all the X-Men villains too. You have all
Fantastic
this sort of
Four.
stuff.
You have
Yeah,
yeah.
Magneto, Mystique, uh, Magneto.
the problem is the MCU doesn't do any of these well. They don't have
Oh,
any
Oh,
actual ideas, or they
that's
don't,
Oh,
or
part of it.
don't.
The other part of the criticism, I think, is the idea that the MCU itself is not keeping the things that adapts well around in essence. So we had so I think that if I had to
That's
be
what I
them
agree
for a
with
second,
as the
I would
problem.
point to be oh yeah, we had Loki in phase one and we had Thanos show up in phase one and we've had Ronan appear sporadically, but other than that, it's pretty much been if you're there for a movie.
Yeah, and so
And that's the key problem in essence is
I
what I
think
think
there is
for,
been
but not really,
I think there has been an idea of. I guess I see their point of scraping the bottom of the barrel because they're bringing back all these villains that just sort of disappeared or
Yeah. If you
and
fell off
such.
a cliff, look back.
Like they
just
brought
just
back Abomination from Incredible Hulk. They brought back the leader finally from
Also
that
from
movie and
Incredible
this
Hulk.
one.
Yeah,
just
the
fuck
MCU
just
does also have, and I think this is the wider the point they're making. They do also have the problem of what kind of burning through villains because they kill off the villain, and this is a problem. It's like, look at Ultron. Ultron's one of those villains that's like a big major threat that you can have come back again in a
And
lot
he's
of
just
content.
gone.
You can't
Yeah.
in the
Yep.
MCU.
Actually, please do not say that because I've seen like 3 seasons of What If, and Ultron is the main villain of that show.
Well, yeah, I know, but like we're not counting What If. No one watches What If.
Oh my god.
Unity. I'm
Unity's
sorry.
watched it.
Unity's been pranked. That's what I'm telling you. There's literally no one in the entire world has watched the show except for Unity. He was just pranked into watching it.
And Bagel, apparently, he was describing the episode where they live on past. So basically, the emergence from the Eternals happens, and the Earth gets destroyed, and people are just living on chunks of the Earth, even though the Earth like supernovas.
I mean, it's like there's an episode like how like what Winter Soldier broke away from like what mind control because he realized what capitalism is.
That sounds really funny. Actually, I need to know which episode that one is. You should
One of the
like
earlier
tell me which
ones.
episode that one has.
No, one
Season
of the
3,
earlier
episode 3.
ones was Thanos stops committing a genocide because
That's
Black
not the
Panther
plot of it. I've seen that one.
convinces him
Plot
of
is
you have.
yeah, that just happens off screen, dude. That's just people are focusing on it because that was like the most like ridiculous part of it. But that happens off screen. That's not the main plot of it.
What? That
After
happens
Yeah,
off
that's
screen?
yeah.
Yes.
Season 1,
Are
episode
you
2. It's about
serious?
like
Yeah,
so
it
what
just
happened
happens
in
off.
Yeah, that was okay. What happened is like season 1, episode 2. It's basically that happens off screen, and they have to go to the collector and steal shit from it because I
What
don't
the
remember
hell?
why. I'm gonna be honest.
I
I
don't
can't be
know why
fucking
either.
remember why.
Because
But
they want to feed starving children. Let's just call it that. How about that?
I just like the idea that Winter Soldier is by control. He's told to get food. He accidentally grabs like a cheeseburger, and that's what saves him.
It's just like
So we get characters like the controversial Sabra. For the uninitiated, Sabra is a C-list Israeli superhero whose most memorable comic appearances hinge on her seeing Arab children as basically non-human. So in this cultural climate, having this ex-Mossad superhero is a little risky.
We'll just skip past this part. This part's
in the
kind of
movie,
funny.
to say the least.
I don't have anything to say.
Which
here.
is probably why her character, while pivotal to
I
the film,
don't know anything about this comic character. So.
What the fuck are you talking about?
They're explaining it. They're explaining.
They're an Israeli.
In this cultural climate,
like
having this
Israeli
ex-Mossad superhero is
that.
a little risky in the movie, to say the least.
Sure,
which is
it's
probably
risky,
why her
but then
What the fuck are you talking about? That was never.
her character, while pivotal to the film, has been neutered to the point of irrelevance. I'm not even sure if her nationality is mentioned at any point, just that she's an ex-Black Widow.
Yeah,
her status as an Israeli soldier is never brought up to my recollection because this is a movie that has nothing to say, or probably more accurately, this is a film that deathly, deeply is afraid of accidentally saying anything.
I think that's more accurate, actually.
I think that's a solid point. I think that's probably the strongest point of the video.
They want to stay out of controversy. Yeah.
Yeah, they're so afraid of accidentally saying something compelling that they just are willing to say actually nothing at all in order to avoid making themselves known as anything negative.
I agree.
And it's sort of,
even though I don't think they need to like make a statement about
Israel. No, they didn't need to say nothing.
I think the point Dead Domain is going for is that they wanted to avoid controversy, so they overcompensated and just made the character nothing, pretty much.
Yes,
no way, because they announced it in the like fucking like they announced the actor and it's like she's playing Sabra, and everyone Twitter just backlash. It was like, what the fuck is happening? It was like oh, she's Israel. It was like okay, who cares? It's just a
would like to mention that Sidewinder, the what's his name plays, who Gus from Breaking Bad plays. In the comic books, he's a snake guy who can, I think, hypnotize people or something.
Yeah,
it's weird.
They're basically snake people, like people in snake costumes, and then they just making them generic terrorists.
And then he just dies.
This is one of those other things about the MCU where it's like, look, I get you don't want the silly snake terrorists. With like the
He's not even a terrorist. It's just a guy, the snake
yeah,
guy.
why use the name of them if you're not going to make them that?
Well, they want to use the name of it so you recognize him from John comic, but then also don't want to say anything, and so they just like neuter him down to just being like, "Oh yeah, I recognize name Unga Bunga."
Except who is recognizing the name of Sidewinder? I don't know. Unless they're a huge comic fan.
Unity. I'm sure Unity knows, but that's it. I don't fucking know who Sidewinder is.
Jesus, fuck them. Because I know like all the characters. Like, do you know that random soldier like Captain like what the fuck? Sorry, them contacted who got killed by like what's it called? Fuck me. Shit. The guy from the Incredible Hulk. It's actually from the comics, and he's actually a really big villain,
Oh, the
anti-hero.
leader is a huge villain in the comics. Yeah.
Okay, do you know that the leader killed a soldier in the movie by turning his heart off or some shit? That soldier is actually a really big character from the comics, and they made him a generic soldier.
Figures.
Ironically, Brave New World's shirking of any responsibility to have a message or a theme leads to it very clearly saying several things about oppression and upholding systemic status quo and the importance of civility politics over any tangible, principled stances that might lead to any actual change. Brave New World, much like Sam Wilson himself, exists in the shadow of better, more compelling stories and heroes.
One of those things where I feel like this is one of those things where I think it's another thing where I vaguely know what a lot of this stuff they're talking about is, but it feels like it's not very approachable to the average.
I think I would agree. There is an approachability barrier.
Yeah, because I vaguely know what they're talking about when they're talking about like civility politics and stuff, because I've kind of watched some of this type of content before. But the average viewer is going to have who doesn't watch this person's channel or that type of content and just clicked on it because it's I watched Cap 4 isn't gonna really know what you're talking. So you kind of want to explain concepts like this.
But dude, I mean, this guy literally just word salading me. I was like, what? Wait, what the fuck are you talking about? You're literally speaking gibberish.
Exactly. That's the exact effect I think is going to be a problem, because basically what they're
sure, but like it feels like we're
actually Sano's probably a good person to explain what they meant.
I mean, it's like if I walk into a lecture of like about biology, and then the biology teacher just speak a bunch of biology terms. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Go ahead, Sano. You were.
So ironically, I think that like by advocating that like no one will understand what you're saying, and so by like the form of what you're saying change. That's kind of what civility politics is. It's like trying to focus too hard on like how things are like being conveyed, and like like being like, oh, this politician is just so rude and disrespectful, and this politician is such a good guy, that we lose focus on like the fact that politics are about like doing something for people, and are just focused on like the celebrity nature of the politician, when that's not the fucking point of politics.
I wouldn't say that's what the movie is. I see
that's
where
not what the movie is saying. No, what that domain is saying is that like by trying to say nothing, it is accidentally, in fact, saying several things, such as the fact that the fact it wants to avoid saying anything in itself is like trying to say that they're wanting to focus on like the form of telling, like of having a message without actually saying anything.
I got the impression that they were trying to say a bunch of things. Actually, no, I guess that is right. I think that is what they said. Yeah.
Yeah.
That it's trying to say nothing and then ends up saying things on accident, rather than it's trying to say some things and then
what it's saying is that Disney is a cuck bitch ass loser, which is true.
Yeah. I mean, yes, it is.
I mean, I don't even know what the fuck did the movie say to
and
me.
Marvel
it does not say anything to me.
Seems
so
to know
I
that.
did not get any idea.
They're going with like the angle that like because it's saying nothing, the fact that it's saying nothing at all and trying to say nothing tells you something.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
That in itself is a message.
if the 4 or 5 grave speeches Sam gives about the nature of responsibility and living up to the lofty standards set by Steve Rogers is any indication. But instead of using that framework for compelling story,
we started mid-sentence. Do you want to rewind to the start of the sentence?
Sure.
Brave New World, much like Sam Wilson himself, exists in the shadow of better, more compelling stories and heroes, and Marvel seems to know that if the 4 or 5 grave speeches Sam gives about the nature of responsibility and living up to the lofty standards set by Steve Rogers is any indication. But instead of using that framework for compelling storytelling or parallels, they're simply now copying their own homework. This is particularly evident in how Brave New World is very obviously based heavily on the structure and moments of Winter Soldier and, to a lesser extent, Civil War.
That is something we did notice when we watched it.
Yes,
as well.
that was very
especially with Winter Soldier.
Yeah. Was it Unity who like called it out first and was just like,
"Yo,
wait a second." No, it was not me. I copied off of someone else. I think it was Unity.
Yeah, I call everything. I was like, dude, that was just from the fucking Winter Soldier and Civil War.
And then we got to that point in the movie where I was like, okay, we're in the middle of a car just about to turn a corner. If we're about to have
I remember that.
Jumped by like Nick Fury was, then I will concede in its entirety to you, Unity. And then he turned the corner and got shot like when
that was so funny. Yeah, I think this is a fair point here. Yeah.
Say what you want about Marvel movies, and I will, but I will personally, genuinely say I really like Captain America 2 and 3, but the further they appear in the rear view, the more I wonder if their successes were accidental.
What?
Okay.
No,
I think the success of Cap 4 was mainly that it was different from a lot of stuff coming out at the time. It was the tone and the style of it that was praised.
Talking about 2 and 3, not 4.
People involved at the time are not involved anymore.
The thing is, like, the Winter Soldier is a shit movie, but it's like, okay, I don't know. If people do not know, I do not like that. That movie is bad.
That's an unpopular opinion.
Well regarded by a lot of people, though.
It is.
It's almost like The Last Jedi in the sense that like the theme and the ideas that it was getting across appealed to people really fucking hard, to the point that they were willing to like overlook the fact that like how we got to the theme and idea was a little bit scuffed.
It's basically just like Black Panther, which is like everyone just like, oh, that was so relatable as politics, especially modern day. I was like, cool.
The movie.
Basically just overlook. Yeah, so I was like, what the fuck is this plot and story and character and world building and theme again? I'm sorry.
But no matter what our opinions on Winter Soldier are, we can at least, for the sake of argument, say, okay, so let's just put that aside for now. And yeah, they are kind of aping that movie. But a lot of the people that made that movie much more because I do think it's much more presentable than Cap 4.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of the people who are behind that aren't working with the MCU anymore.
Well, I mean, the Russos still are. Well,
Well, no, they only just came back.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Yeah,
they got paid like 80 million for that.
Because Cap 2 is that still phase 1 or is that phase 2?
That's phase 2.
Yeah,
phase 2.
Phase 2 had a pretty big writer's room when it comes down to it. There was a lot of people involved, and I imagine there's a lot of ideas tossed around between them.
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas that people do not know about when it comes to behind the scenes of the MCU films. I have to go through all of them. Well, as much as I could, not all of them, but like as much as I could myself.
Yeah,
Winter Soldier.
Let's just say that.
That's the thing. A lot of it is brain drain from the MCU, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they bring in a lot of other people who don't have the experience or don't really know how to make things as presentable as that.
Yeah, it's almost like a victim of its own success in that like they'll bring in a lot of people who like cost a lot of money because the MCU is such a prominent thing, and they also are constantly acting as though they'll make money off of it. But like when the budget comes due, they're like, oh shit, fuck. Well, we need to skimp out somewhere, and the people behind the curtain are often where they tend to skimp out, as well as like the process of how they make things.
And then when they do get someone talented like Sam Raimi, well then
It got fucked over.
they don't really give him a good script to work with. So wasn't it being written
as they were filming? Yeah.
Yeah, as it was like it's remarkable.
You can make that work.
To make a good.
Except...
Yeah, I'm sure there's movies. I'm pretty sure there's movies that have had that be a thing and been successful.
Iron Man 1 was being written as it was filmed, yeah.
Especially when you're throwing around hundreds of millions of dollars, it's really hard to do.
Yeah, it's also you got to pair it with like small things get like corrected all the time, like little details, like the script doctor will go through it like mid film, like like I know that you wanted to improv that line, but like that really does fuck with your character, so we can't do that one. That sort of shit will go through, but like generally, yeah, no, you don't want to do this.
Yeah, it's not advisable for sure.
A lot of the problem is the process and the people.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, let's.
And the culture.
So they're talking about
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is about Winter Soldier.
In particular,
here.
feels so far removed from the modern Marvel brand. The action scenes feel grounded and weighty. It manages to balance big comic book spectacle with
the helicopter
yeah, definitely.
one. The helicopter one,
character work.
Yeah, so that does kind of
problem with Winter Soldier.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I would go with. I'm not sure that I understand what they mean when they say like grounded and weighty versus like no stakes and floaty. If Winter Soldier is grounded and this isn't, because they're not that far apart. I guess we could say like cinematography wise, maybe like they're shot differently.
Yeah,
but
framing
of the shot better, but like
they're shot better. But like in terms of the action itself, it's really not very. It's not that distant. Like the chasm is not a chasm.
Tension. Yeah, they're probably
tension maybe
a lot of the tension. Yeah,
especially if you're buying into like what's going on. Yeah, definitely. Like it doesn't. If you buy in all the way, it's not. Most of it isn't like obviously horrific. Whereas like when Falcon breaks the sound barrier, that's just at the fucking start of the movie. We're just like jumping in blind, and they're boom, he's just breaking the sound barrier. It's like, oh, wait a second. And then there goes the sound barrier blasting everyone, which is obviously just fucking ridiculous.
That doesn't feel
withstand that.
Vibranium is fine.
Probably most notable is its weaving of characters and stories from multiple films together. Manages to balance big comic book spectacle with engaging character work, and a light dollop of comedy that doesn't feel cloying. Probably most notable is its weaving of characters and stories from multiple films together, without feeling a need to wink to the camera every 2 seconds.
Well, I mean, most of the characters in that were from other... Actually, no, that's... I mean, it's from basically Captain America 1 and
Avengers.
They were still coming off of Avengers 1, and so they had a lot already set up and a lot that they could rely on.
Yeah, so they did, which is I think that's fair. I think that's a fair point that like they had stuff set up, and so they were able to like build off of what was already there, as opposed to like Cap 4, which is having to just kind of fly by the seat of its pants. And it kind of, sort of, ish does by bringing up the Celestial again, but like that's not really building off of what was already there to like as the foundation of your plot. That's just going like, oh god, oh fuck, what the fuck do we have? Oh shit, fuck it.
Well,
they woke up and remembered that there's Celestials in the ocean finally.
And like, oh my god, there's something they could fight over. Oh my god.
What the fuck are they talking about? That they just fucked over Eternals.
If adamantium is this hard, how do they even like harvest it? Really?
It's just the same question we had with the vibranium.
Vibranium.
Yeah, it's just the same question over again. I guess maybe they use the vibranium to harvest it.
So,
I think it's
a little better this time because like with vibranium they genuinely would have no fucking means. Whereas with this, like maybe fucking lasers and diamonds, maybe. Water.
I think the excuse I heard is that the metal's more malleable or something. Is
Shut
the
the fuck
excuse I
up,
hear?
Burger. I don't want to hear the bullshit comic ass excuse.
No. That's not the
If the
bullshit
middle is
comic
more malleable,
excuse.
shut up. Bruh. It's like a
That's
Milky
what
Way
I
bug, you
heard.
know?
Yeah.
What does that? Yeah, I was gonna say, what does that
Get a
even
nice
mean?
gooey
in
center, you know?
context of Mega super weapon metals.
It's also, in
You know,
my
you
personal
just
belief, the closest
you give it a little hole and it just leaks out, you know? Woo!
doesn't feel cloying. Probably most notable is its weaving of characters and stories from multiple films together without feeling a need to wink to the camera every 2 seconds. It's also, in my personal belief, the closest we'll ever get to an actual Metal Gear Solid movie, but that's a different video. Then Civil War ups the ante considerably in scale, but also uses all these characters and motivations to tell a compelling story about revenge and cycles of power and accountability, all of which hinges on the powerhouse performances that elevate what would otherwise be pretty rote blockbuster material.
I don't
agree
like
with it.
that description. No.
Underselling the Civil War there a little bit.
Yeah,
No.
a lot of it too is very much. It feels like
I think a lot of it is built off of the relationship between Tony and Steve up to that point, and seeing that come to a head is what I would say. I think framing it as revenge is just kind of weird.
That's not what the general story is about, though. Burger, like the villain's motivation is absolutely just revenge in the best possible means he can get it, as well as Black Panther's is about revenge, and then Tony's once he flips is about revenge. Like Tony's flip is about revenge is absolutely a key component. And I would say that if you're gonna go with 2 things to describe the story as revenge and the cycles of whatever they said, accountability and power, that's fair. I think that's fair 2 things.
I think that's fair. I think saying it hinges on the performances is a bit weird, though.
That's
security versus
that's where
freedom. There's a lot of things to debate when it comes to this film. It's but the thing is every single thing about building a plot is every single character's perspective and the development throughout literally every single film before this.
Yes,
I think that's something I would highlight before I highlight the cycles of power, accountability, and revenge thing. Personally, that's I think that's a fair point.
Given that we're framing this whole thing as core ideas presented in a movie, I think that character relationships isn't really a core idea so much as the core element that we're using to build to these things. It's almost the core tool. Go ahead, Rangi. Sorry.
Bonds and how much and how strong they are, and what you're willing to do to maintain a bond, or even protect someone you have a bond with. That's also a major.
I think we could put that at definitely top 3. Because I think that's central to Cap is his relationship. Yep.
It's central to Cap, but it's also the Avengers as a whole with Civil War, because all of them have these bonds, and it comes down to both groups think they're doing the right thing, and both groups even Tony's group even thinks they're trying to protect the other Avengers.
That's what Cap's kind of doing too, sort of, ish.
Yeah, that's why it is definitely one of the top 3 films. But another point is the foundation point is fundamental to why these movies were stronger than any of the current MCU stuff. Because the current MCU stuff, that foundation, somebody's been taking a sledgehammer to it with each installment. There's not much to build on. Not only did you have a lot of actors that have retired from their roles, but you also have a lot of the world building has been botched. It's hard for me to take Nick Fury seriously anymore in any of the modern movies as an example.
Yeah.
It's hard for if you have to do a new MCU project, where do you even start?
From the scratch, what you do is you build from the ground up and you start over. Which I will say I think that would go against what Dead Domain is saying, because I think that they're trying to build on the idea that we should be building on things that we already have, and apparently we just don't know how to do that. Smile. Whereas I would contend that what we have is not very good in the first place, and so we should really be trying to reestablish the foundation. The problem being that we have 20 different shows and movies that have been trying to reestablish a foundation, and all of them fucking suck. Which is why we're still at ground zero, like 5 years on. 6 years on,
Exactly.
sorry.
Also, so in case it's not clear, we are Civil War respecters here, and also this clip and this thing in the corner is bugging me because all they had to do to get around it was just crop it out a little bit. It's a nitpick though.
These movies, good stuff. Brave New World is not that. It's a lifeless carbon copy with none of the style, flair, or thematic underpinning. See, Winter Soldier and Civil War showed Steve Rogers, a man out of time, awakening to the shifting reality of modern power, of corporations and military-industrial complexes controlling the flow of information.
I don't know about the corporations part. I don't think that's a part at all. I like understand where like they're coming from with this, but that is hard overlaying the real world onto Winter Soldier as opposed to the Winter Soldier onto the real world.
I guess no, I wouldn't call Hydra. Well, Hydra's a
Hydra's not.
corporation.
No, they're just.
So no.
That's just
It's an
not an
organization.
element.
No.
It's. I can see where it's coming from. Of like we're using this as like leverage to criticize the military-industrial complex, but we're like it's not really related to the substance of the movie. Really, like the movie about that.
That's not something I think the movie was aiming for, no. Or either of them, I should say, are aiming for.
Law. Brave New World is about Sam Wilson, a man who is intimately knowledgeable about the transgressions of the United States government, who simply chooses to uphold the status quo, to push for civil change on the inside, regardless of how he personally feels about how the systems are operating.
This is another thing, and so this is another problem I always have with this. Like, so this criticism about it, well, because they're talking about the transgressors of the United States government. And I'm like, well, one of the things you have to understand, first of all, is there's not really much. What do you want him to do about? Like, okay, yeah, he's
in this movie, he has a great amount of power to do something about it.
Oh no! What I mean is, yeah, I'd assume he is working within the system to try to change the system, like, but
yeah. So okay, so I think what Dead Domain's saying is like that in essence, like by choosing to uphold the status quo, he's open to criticism, which is what what's his name? Isaac? Is that right? Isaiah criticizes him for, which is fair. That should be the core conflict of the movie. Is like, given what you know, how should you go about bringing about change? Should you work within the system to try and change the system, or is the system itself the problem? And the answer is that we fucking limo time, baby. Woo-hoo! We're gonna go see the president.
But yeah, but another issue I have with this type of framing is, and this is more of a wider MCU problem with it, because this isn't our world, and the level, not even just the levels of technology and stuff at this world's disposal, but all the events. What did they even have the same? Would they even have the same like issues and problems we do? That's always been like, a big problem.
But like the problem is that, like.
I remember our multiverse destroyed every single day in the real world. Do you remember that? Or I suddenly discover a secret organization that's gonna kill me every single second. Or I don't have free will at all. That was totally a real life issue.
Yeah, so the problem is that like the MCU, this is another problem with the MCU, is that they are fucking deathly afraid. Because like, you know, the appeal of the MCU from the start was in large part, these are just like John people. Like this story is like very close to ours. Like you can picture us going from to like here to there if a few little like fundamental laws of physics were different, I guess, and like we were able to just like do this shit. Like it's, you know, you can feasibly see it. And as we go on, you know, things are escalating, but escalating like within the same like reality of us, I suppose. Then the fucking snap happens, and all of a sudden that's just not gonna be a thing anymore. And the MCU is fucking deathly afraid to make it not a thing anymore. So they are deathly trying over and over again to like continue making it just like the real world, but also not in a way that like could actually criticize the real world.
Yeah, this is kind of one of those issues I have with the MCU as it goes on, because basically the further it goes on, the less it can resemble or what. Like nanotech is a good example. How long has nanotech at this point existed, or like arc reactor tech?
Let me
How
throw
long has
this.
these things existed in this world now?
Oh fuck.
With Tony specifically setting up stuff involving it and having success, and we're still in the same like level of technology, like visibly for the average person. I don't buy it.
I will throw
The
this
thing is
out.
like
Right? I
the
think that
thing.
like, go ahead, Unity.
Yeah, the thing is like the fucking Winslow try to tackle real life politics by saying like the corporations are bad because they did not feed people who are like who biggest steal their homes and steal all the equipment because they want the world to be back to this how the snap is. So they're the bad people. I was like, no, they're using resources to help people who got snapped, you fuck. What the fuck are you talking about?
Well,
Is it immigration issues that is like that could not work in the MCU?
Yeah, so
that is
that's
kind
just
of
kind
the
of like
other.
the thing, right? It's like they have the shield of it's fiction and the events are different, but then as soon as they're asked to like manifestly like show how the events are different, and so we can have like an interesting story set in a universe that's kind of like ours, but now it's had like a fundamentally different event, such that like things have substantially changed, and we have to investigate these substantial changes. The answer is, but we're kind of more like the real world, you know. We just, we're kind of like the real world, you know. We don't want to really, we don't want to actually like investigate these things. We don't have the responsibility of like having a universe that's different from the real one, but also don't want to have to deal with the real universe. They want like to have their cake and eat it too.
Like yeah,
The
that
annoying
just caused a
thing,
ton of problems with the world building. I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to make of this? I was like, yeah, of course those terrorists are wrong.
the annoying thing is that if they just divorce it more from the real world, they can actually have they can actually have stories that say things without actually getting into potentially
That's
controversial contemporary
crazy,
politics.
Rangi. You mean you could like have a story based in the fictional world that you went out of your way to set up for yourself? That's fucking insane. Wow.
Oh,
Oh,
it's all
we've literally seen
and I have a good we have a
Andor.
good example recently, Andor.
Yeah.
And Andor goes over things that definitely are like things that have happened in the with like dual dictatorships and authoritarian governments and how the nature of
Systematic
rebellion.
oppression, something like this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, oppression and how it kind of creeps in. There's all these things, and you can do that with a fictional setting without actually getting into contemporary modern politics.
I mean, we've got like Lord of the Rings with this already.
Yeah.
That's true. That's crazy. You mean to tell me that you can have a fictional world where things are substantially different from our own, and yet some ideas are still able to be communicated to us because we are all human and have core tenets to like how we think? Wow, that's fucking insane. I can't believe you guys like even like
We
passed
figured it out.
rule. That's fucking crazy. Wow.
The funniest thing is this part doesn't. I feel like this is just us using this for as a vehicle more for discussion because this is in really countering or addressing anything Dead Domain said. But I think it's
I'm
a
gonna be honest, that
combo.
Because I think
or
Dead Domain
making
holds a
blanket
similar
statements. I was like, dude, I
position,
can't
but
say
not
anything
the
unless you
same
give me
one.
detail.
And like the one that they hold is more like it should be more like the real world cross arms match,
Yeah,
which I
yeah. They're basically the polar opposite position as I am,
I
where I'm like, let's divorce it from the real world so we can get both. Uh, to a story
Yeah.
that actually says something, and we don't get into controversy.
yeah. And what's crazy is that I think that in the end we both have reached across the aisle and handshaked on, but this movie fucked up both. It could have done either, and it did neither, and to its detriment.
Exactly.
And who they're
No,
actively
it's like this movie just froze at the crossroads, you know.
It just like fucking lives at that happy little center where no one actually exists, and it's just like, but what if we did though? Smile.
hurting. And
Just
most
keep going.
insultingly, the film delivers this message all the while doing its damnedest to convince viewers it has no message
So
or its
wait, hold
systems
on,
are
let me go
about the
back.
transgressions of the United States government, who simply chooses to uphold the status quo, to push for civil change from the
Yeah.
inside, regardless of how he personally feels about how the systems are operating and who they're actively hurting. And most insultingly,
okay, wait, no.
the
So
film delivered.
their specific comment there was about how it seemed to be criticizing the idea of him trying to push for civil change on the
inside of the system, yeah. Which I would expand on that. I would say I think that like in essence, like how do we use this from like what's the next step? Like I think that this having Sam do this is by like the idea that having Sam do this is a problem is obviously fucking ridiculous. The question is like how do we then use this? What do we do here? How do we show this? And yeah, then the movie's just like and then shrugs its shoulders and walks off.
Not only that, it's almost like what needs to be actually done, and then the movie's also like shrug.
Yeah, the movie's like bad things are happening, and it's like okay, name a couple. And it's like a dude tortured a guy, and now he's president. Damn, that's kind of fucked up. So should we remove him from tower? No, he's actually the good guy. Oh, okay, thanks.
So you gotta do better, president.
Here's this message.
Basically,
who hasn't committed?
You should just
crimes
quite simply improve yourself. Smile.
Doing its damnedest to convince viewers it has no message or agenda at all by serving a heap of familiar imagery, whether by a decision to conjure memories of the better Captain America movies or just simply running out of time and ideas. I don't know. You've got an opening secret mission where Cap goes in against.
I don't think wasn't this movie like 2.5 hours?
I
don't even know.
This movie. No, this movie was like an hour and a half. It was fucking short.
I think. I thought it was like an hour 50 or something.
I don't know, but it was shorter than 2 hours. I know that.
It was shorter than 2 hours.
It was really fucking short for an MCU movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a 1 hour and 58 minutes.
Okay, so close to 2 hours.
But like, even if they had like a 2-hour mandate, the fact they didn't go exactly like, cause like fucking okay, so like Justice League, right? Like, Josh Whedon walked into the project and he had a 2-hour time limit, and so like the runtime of his cut of Justice League is exactly 2 hours. He has to cut 4 hours of content down to 2 hours and then fill in the gaps somehow. So he uses every fucking second he has out of fucking sheer desperation. And this movie has the gall to be at a minute, like an hour 58. So obviously it's not like a set studio time limit here. Like this was the time stamp they thought would be best.
Yeah, and the other big thing is like it's not like they use their time effectively at all.
No.
No.
No, we get to see them partying in a limo. Are you kidding me?
That is so true.
Cut out like 20 or 30 minutes and I barely noticed.
There's also like the fucking action scene over the Indian Ocean. I will admit that I fucking zoned the fuck out for the entire action scene because I remember nothing. I remember nothing that happened.
He surfed on a torpedo in the air or some shit. I don't know.
That's something.
Or a missile on the air. Sorry, not a torpedo.
And then they copy Civil War, or like the Falcon dropping in the ocean, and then the other flying person try to catch him.
Oh yeah, they
Falcon
did that.
was in that movie.
Yeah.
They had New Falcon in it. I keep forgetting he's even in the film.
Yeah, that's right.
He spends half of it in the hospital, so like, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, why do I feel like this would have helped the point earlier to include like a side-by-side of Winter Soldier and Brave New World? I don't know. It might just be.
I think it would have helped. Yeah. Which actually, there's the gap in content burger. You could make those comparisons.
True.
Clock and kicks off the main conflict. You've got a buddy team-up investigation uncovering a conspiracy as Cap needs to outflank the US government. You've got finding hidden underground military installations and mind control experiments, a sudden assassin ambush with links to the main antagonist, and even a close buddy getting his wings clipped in the third act, attempting to drive forward some motivation.
So there you go, Burger.
Here we go.
Oh, close buddy thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're speaking in like really vague terms right here, just so that they can show the slideshow and how they're basically the same fucking thing. Like the beats are the same, and it's the funny thing is it's really not that out of context because these things just kind of happen.
Yeah.
Like this is no like wow I can't believe Andor didn't have Ewoks or some shit. Nah, this is like fair.
Yeah, what is it? Crap, I don't even know what his name is anymore. New Falcon gets
Taurus.
when he gets injured, it just sort of happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, hang
Yeah.
on. Unity, what's
Taurus.
Taurus? I heard Aura. Like his name is fucking Aura.
Yeah. You
His name
wish.
is
His
Aura.
Sigma Riz Aura. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Except
he's that's the thing too. It's like if it really does feel like he got like barely any setup either. The new Falcon.
No, I mean I did homework. Unfortunately, so I watched Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I still do not understand it. The only explanation is like he gave him his jackpack.
with
Yeah,
none of
like
the
we don't know anything about this person, and I still
sudden
don't know
assassin
anything about
ambush
this
with links to the
person
main
Yeah.
antagonist.
being like a
He's
secondary
just
protagonist.
silly. Yeah, he's just silly, fun character who makes bad jokes all the
And
time.
even a close buddy
Yeah,
getting his
and so therefore, by virtue of having fucking of actually being fucking nothing, kinda, he has like a couple things. He's better than like the self-contradictory mess that is most of the characters.
True.
Yeah.
wings clipped in the third act, attempting to drive forward some motivation for the hero. Except with none of the history or intrigue of characters like Captain America or Black Widow, you're left with the new Falcon.
See, there you go. So that's exactly. I think there's our issue, right? It's like the domain again is like we need the history for this to like have meaning and emphasis, which I don't fucking buy that. We just need
Not
to establish
necessarily.
this movie. Yeah,
I mean, they could establish it like in this movie. If you're waiting a
exactly.
while.
Yeah, they could put in some fucking effort. I don't know for themselves. Like they could, be a big boy, put on their big boy points, and do the fucking work.
Just to just to illustrate the point here, I mean, I know the people who've seen Thunderbolts, so Unity, thoroughly didn't like it, except a lot of people did, and those characters are just like the people from like Black Widow, Bucky, and then bad guy from Ant-Man 2. And a lot of people like those characters, even though there's not much history to them at all.
They're
Yeah,
talking
that's
about that was weird because I was watching those. I was like, dude, you don't even remember what the history is.
Yeah, exactly. I really cannot emphasize enough how much like I recognize name Unga Bunga, or even like the weight that the name has doesn't really inherently affect you that much. Like it
No.
helps. It's a helpful thing, but it's not like the thing that you need to like get yourself over the top.
No, I
Like
mean,
otherwise, start a story for the
Is
first time
that-
ever.
This
I would
film's
love if the
designated comic
Thunderbolts
relief,
written
and the
better.
comedy mostly comes from him just being really annoying. Like, he is legitimately the worst part of the film, and that's including
No,
the
he's
awful-
not. Fuck you.
Fuck off.
Boo.
No,
No, wait, it's not
except
the-
he's not good. I'll admit that.
Wait,
Except that's the thing.
Wait, who are they saying is the worst part?
Taurus.
New Falcon.
Taurus.
No,
Is the worst part in the movie? No, I can't agree with that. Fuck. Boo.
I was
The
gonna
worst
say,
part is probably the leader, if I'm being
Leader,
honest.
and then
Probably the president. Honestly, no. It's the whole fucking conflict, the political conflict. I fucking hate it. It's like actually just painful.
It's pretty dumb.
It's gonna be either that or like Harrison Ford because.
Well, if you're boiling it down to a character, then it might be
then
Harrison Ford.
Yeah, Harrison Ford.
yeah,
Me.
Harrison
The leader's
Ford.
also
Holy
pretty
shit.
bad.
I say is fucking awful, dude. The fact that he like immediately just like fucking betrays every principle that he's just expressed and just hops in that fucking limo is fucking insane.
Oh god.
Like, I cannot stand ever collaborate.
Oh, Isaiah Bradley.
Anyway, this is an immoral act, and if you do it, I can't even be your friend anymore. So you've been invited to the White House. Fuck yeah, let's fucking go, baby. Woohoo!
Oh yeah, I remember you pointing that out was like character assassination speedrun.
It's 40 seconds, dude.
But you see, he wants to get drunk or some shit. I don't know.
green screen
3
effects.
p.m.
But,
for
but
live
have,
and
you
all.
have you considered the White House parties are really fancy?
It's fucking crazy. The narrative.
So
I'm a victim of the government shit that that relies on him just like destroying his own character there, so that he's there and fuck up and then get arrested again and be
Well,
like,
they're
I
making a
I
point
told you
here
everything, dude. I told you this was a thing. Shut the fuck.
They're
God.
making a point here about the green screens being bad, and they have this scene up. Except what's funny is that this wasn't green screen. It just looks like this.
This is
Yeah.
It's just kind of amazing,
Shot
honestly.
Do you know
Yeah,
the final
It's basically poor directing.
Anthony Mackie has the charisma for this kind of role. He's a good
Sure.
actor, but the cast he's surrounded by give him nothing to work with, and the script that could have been written by a sleepwalking Aaron Sorkin masterclass student leaves him with no meat to dig into like Chris Evans or
Choice in
Robert
the
Downey
movie.
Jr. had. And there's something in the structure of Brave New World that speaks to the entertainment industry's current fixation with AI. When we inevitably get to a point where massive blockbusters are being written by AI, films like Brave New World makes me think we might not actually notice much of a difference between the algorithms being made to write movies and movies
so fucking
being
true.
Well, this is the thing though.
That's-
It's like that you also then have to ask like, well, is AI always gonna be at the the level of quality it is now, or will it eventually get to the point where people as
No, it will.
do actually
It'll surpass us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously it will. And so,
Yeah.
like, yeah, obviously there's
you
gonna
know,
be a point
it's
where we just don't notice.
Yeah, there's just a point where we just can actually just like not have artists anymore, which is fucking wild that we're accepting that. But
Oh, what can we
Yeah.
do about it? The genie's kind of
I
already out of the bottle.
I think that's a terrible take. I'm just being like, well, what can we do about it? We'll just let it happen,
Fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully there'd be something.
Oh, no. Like, I guess we could. I think the only thing that we can do about it is just continue to patronize artists and hope that
and also like relentlessly fucking mock anyone who does AI shit.
Yeah.
I don't know if I care enough.
written now to fit into algorithms. Here's a film with like 5 writers, multi-million-dollar reshoots, and a bigger budget than the GDP of some countries, and the best result is a vaguely recognizable mask with no defining artistic sensibilities. It tries to strip back the
it's blurred, but then I realized they probably had to do that for copyright.
Wait, the fuck,
This
man?
did come out like 3 days after the movie did, so this was
hot.
Yeah, it's hot off the presses. It's footage.
I can believe both. I can believe both, but this looks like it's probably trailer footage.
No, it's not trailer footage. They show trailer footage and it's not blurred though.
But
it's
well,
yeah.
They
show trailer footage and it's not blurred.
Oh, is it? Is it? No, it's
yeah. There's other parts of this that aren't blurred. Yeah.
The part we just had where like Anthony Mackie was standing in front of the cherry blossoms in DC. That's trailer footage and it wasn't blurred.
Maybe they edited this post hoc because it got hit with copyright at this part.
I don't think so.
That might be it actually, because I do remember that their thing did get copyright.
Yeah, copyright is
it
weird.
could have been. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, sorry, what'd you say, Sano? You cut out.
I said yeah.
MCU to the same spy thriller feel of Captain America 2 and to a lesser extent 3, but the MCU has so many different spinning plates that those intentions never show through. Because of the multiversal scale and the ever-consuming need to raise stakes, introduce new characters, keep crafting new toys and Funko Pops and iconography that will make it into Fortnite, there's no such thing as a quiet or grounded MCU story anymore. Just the varying degrees to which talented storytellers can wrangle the loud shot for IMAX CG devastation to something competent. In some cases, like Wakanda Forever and James Gunn's Guardians 3.
Hold on, that was a lot to go through there, so...
What did you just say about Wakanda Forever? You think that is actually gonna...
No, they don't.
Yeah, they're about to praise Wakanda Forever and Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I think. So we can just ignore that bit when that comes around.
So you guys actually watch that film?
I have not
seen.
No, I've seen
Panther 2.
Half of Guardians 3, the back half. I haven't seen the front half.
I haven't seen Guardians 3 at all.
Black Panther 2 sucks. It's garbage.
These talented creators make something within the constraints of the cynical, ever-churning Disney marketing machine, but it still feels like art made to fit in a Happy Meal box first and to appeal to human emotion and expression second.
Actually, I think the whole point is that basically everything is just marketable and made marketable and cynical now. I think you can boil down the last like minute or so of what they've been saying to that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Brave New World just fits into this. Yeah.
And that same ever-expanding scale is the dramatic downfall of Brave New World.
And then the scale as well is overinflated, which I think we've said earlier is not that far off from Winter Soldier, honestly. So I'm not sure I even agree with that. Well,
like,
at least this one isn't.
I think that the problem, like they also just don't take the time. They could pull off the scale, like the conflict being centered around the minerals of the Celestial. Yeah, totally. That would be a great fucking story to center this around. Like if we just focused it around like Falcon's role as Falcon in this system, in the midst of this conflict over the mineral rights, and then how it's affecting him personally, and how he pick to go about the role of Captain America. If we just focused it on that specifically, and then also lengthen the runtime a little bit, yeah, we could. That's a movie we could absolutely pull off.
No,
it's a good point.
no.
Yeah, I think as it is, they sort of did. They have that, and then they also have Falcon doing other things, and that aren't related to that, and it just sort of doesn't mesh.
It's also weird to me that they make the people that the U.S. is in conflict with. Don't they make it like Japan?
Yes, they make. That's why I fucking hate it. It's India is there, which is fair and based because it's in the Indian Ocean. And then also France is there for actually no fucking reason. And then Japan is there as the adversary to the United States for again no fucking clear reason at all. Outside of the fact it's, I guess.
Well, no, don't you remember, Sano? It's because the president's a little cuck bitch, and that's why everything happens.
Yes, that's true.
That's basically what it is.
Why are you here? Because you called me a cuck.
Yeah.
It's so weird because like the entire villain's motivation is like he's just mad that the president just locked him up. And
Yeah,
I mean, like that's it.
I was gonna try and work an iDubbbz joke in there, but I can't.
No, no, it doesn't fit.
Just so it's so weird, and then the entire time the fucking bad guy can just walk around the entire Earth with no problem. So he's just mad for no reason.
We have fighter jet battles amid giant celestial aliens, but we also want a grounded political thriller. But
again, that's the same as Winter Soldier. They had the helicarrier stuff in that movie. I don't see how it's that much different.
Yeah, you can have this and a grounded political thriller with the big battle with fighter jets over the Celestial. You can do it. It's gonna be challenging. That's the problem.
Yeah, and then they also the problem was also that like they really didn't focus on this at all, so it just kind of happens out of the blue. Because this whole conflict is both the backdrop for and the center conflict of the movie. But also the center conflict is at the same time just like I want my daughter and also the leader, man, and also I'm Hulk now. Like it's just fucking insane. What the fuck is going on?
And then on top of that,
Sidewinders there. I completely and I fucking forgot. Sidewinders also just fucking hanging out.
Yeah,
Sidewinder is not much more than just exposition, man. That's basically all he is.
Yeah, basically.
On top of that, you have like espionage.
You gonna get espionage
stuff with the leader and all that.
And then Buck goes up, right? He's going to run for an election or some shit.
Yeah, like if I could say any like one central issue to the movie, it's that it couldn't really decide what it wanted to be at all.
That's kind of what Dead Domain is saying, I think. Is that like it's fucking there. It is.
Yeah, but I think the way they're making the point isn't very good.
I think the way that they're making the point is trying to like connect it to other things, which don't do this as badly as this, but do to an extent do this. Like Justice League 2017, which is a very long time ago, I know. But like it's a similar pattern of just fucking unfocused, like deranged shit that doesn't really like say anything.
Oh, this happens with a lot of
all the Disney remakes, right?
They just mash a bunch of scripts together. I think Alien 3, I always got the impression there was a bunch of like scripts smashed together too, and then I learned it was.
It's pretty common now. That's the same feeling I got with Barbie, where it was just trying to say a bunch of shit all at once, and then it didn't actually end up saying much of anything
Oh, my
because it couldn't
university
decide
loved
what it
that
was
film
trying
because
to
like
say.
they thought they loved that it's like feminism, like guys suck, the guys should not apologize. I don't fucking know. My university is weird. Also, I talk. Okay, no offense to anyone in my university, by the way, if you guys are watching for some reason.
But most importantly, we can't alienate the
Big
audience
ups to my higher education.
by taking any sides in the politics we espouse. We can have an Israeli superhero, but we won't acknowledge Israel or its ongoing genocide.
I do have to wonder, is the character even Israeli
Yeah,
at that point if they just don't acknowledge it
Disney
in the
does
Yeah,
movie?
not
no, she is Israel. She is. They say that she's Israel.
Yeah, she is Israeli,
They
but yeah,
did?
Disney does
Yeah.
not want to acknowledge the Israeli-Palestine conflict. Shocking! The multinational corporation doesn't want to acknowledge war in
Yeah, that's kind of the
land
point
over
that they're making, though.
Yeah, and now an Israeli character being
Yeah, no, that's
all they have
where
to have
the criticism is silly. Is that like because we have an Israeli person, therefore we have to like discuss like the fucking Gaza. We have to because someone was from Israel in my movie. That's a little bit silly, fucking deranged. I would wager, but
yeah.
I like this is probably like just the weakest example in the movie. There's other things too.
Yeah.
Like
Especially,
the fucking
does
conflict.
the Middle East even come up in this movie?
No,
No, not at all.
We have a black
I
No.
guess
Captain
maybe
America,
only
but
in the
we
India is kind of involved.
I
And
literally have to tell
if
Red
you brought it up,
no
it wouldn't like it would just like fucking scatter our focus even more. It's like I really don't like I cannot possibly agree with the idea that we have to include
no.
just like her turning to the
No.
camera and going, by the way, I condemn the Israeli genocide of the Gazans, and then we just move on. Like what the fuck?
I like the idea we simplified even more. She just has a random line during a fight where she's like, "By the way,
This is for Gaza.
Not even that, just literally just, oh, by the way, I'm Israeli.
Israel bad."
Not even anything. No, not even that. Just literally, by the way, I'm Israeli, guys.
By the way,
That's
fuck
it.
Hitler.
Let's say Hitler. Let's kill Hitler. Fuck. I don't even know. Let's be real. I didn't tell Red that was like no one gives a shit about the issue Israel a lot. It's just Twitter is gonna forget about it in a few weeks. And then
Yeah,
a few days after before he made podcast with me, it was like he was like, yeah, you're right. I was like, yeah, of course. I'm not fucking stupid.
Yeah, like I'm open about. I don't really have a position on it. This is some war going on that started before I was born. That will probably be going on when I'm dead.
No, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, for me, I literally do not say what my political view is. So it's like everyone just like, hey, want to talk about politics? I was like, shut up.
Hey, Unity,
No.
want to talk about politics?
So how's your life?
Oh, you know, it is.
Yeah, my life's good. Thank you.
we don't see skin color. Despite being
Oh,
politics
hold
we
on.
espouse, we can have an Israeli superhero, but we won't acknowledge Israel or its ongoing genocide. We have a black Captain America, but we don't see skin color. Despite being
That's
Did you watch the basically the
the
previous
Falcon
series
Winter
about
Soldier.
this?
Yeah.
I did.
No,
Yeah, I
it's
think
like
they have.
specifically like they if they went over this quite a bit in the show already. Like
Yeah,
do
but
they
like,
have to does them having a black man immediately mean they have to go like, by the way, he's black? It's the same thing.
well, that's the problem, right? Because they
you.
also are making the movie kind of sort of about like what his role as the new Captain America ought to be, and like how he ought to conduct himself as Captain America, yada yada yada. But like also don't want to make it at all about like any. They don't even want to have him talk about like his role as Captain America in the first place. They don't really want to do like the thing they're trying to do.
Right.
And then they also don't like they have this as an element, right? Where like, yeah, I think you like we should acknowledge that it's pretty likely that there'd be a lot of people in America like, wow, I can't believe they made Captain America woke now, man. But we just like don't bring up any of that.
I guess that could be a thing. I imagine there'd be plenty of people who are just like, what actually qualifies this person over like anyone else to be?
Yeah,
Thing is, like,
yes, and so there would be people. There would be people out there on the internet who are just like, I can't believe that they can't entrusted one of these, one of these,
Yeah,
one of the
since
to have the
man
to
would
hold
be
the shield of America when we have a perfectly good also World War II person right over there. Wow, I can't believe we had a patriot right over there, and we gave it to this
over here.
this guy.
the thing is, like, that's the
Because man would
Falcon
be
and Winter Soldier, and they
That's
failed
true.
miserably.
But
I would imagine they would fail miserably because it didn't do a good job of saying the message, not because of the message it was trying to say.
They're like, I'm a black man holding a shield. What else do I not understand? What
Yeah,
did
that sounds like it did it tried to convey its message really fucking shittily then.
Yeah.
In America, where people definitely see skin
It's like
color.
he looks at the camera just like, by the way, racism in America, I don't approve of it. Anyway, back to your regularly scheduled punching fight.
don't worry, the Patriot in the
no,
fucking Falcon and Winter
he's
Soldier
just
is
he's
so
just in a random fight, and the bad guy out of nowhere, out of
He's
the
just like mid fight and like an Oblivion dialogue scene where just like fucking like stops and zooms into him and just like, by the way, I condemn racism in America. We should all consider ourselves to each other and consider more based on the content of our character than the color of our skin. And then zooms back out and goes, oh, get real.
Yeah, but no, it's like he's in the middle of a fight with like one of the snake people, and then they just randomly drop the hard R, and then he does the zoom.
Oh, whoa! You can't say that.
And judge people by skin color right now. Like if Sam Wilson was Captain America in the real world, he would probably be fired for being a DEI hire right now with the current administration. We can have a central conflict over rare minerals, but the primary conflict is with
yeah, so again, they want it tied back to real world politics and commit to that, whereas we wanted to commit to more, I guess,
I wanted to commit
politics.
The
I would
current
want it to commit to something
right now. This movie wasn't made during the current administration. It would have been made during the Biden administration.
Well, they would have worked on it during that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that the problem is also right that they kind of like looking ahead were able to figure, and also that they were doing a bunch of like reshoots and shit. Could have looked ahead and been like, this is gonna release right after the election, and it doesn't really fucking matter who wins. The answer is going to be that there is going to be half the country that's not going to fucking like the answer.
Yep.
And so as a result, they kind of like released a movie that made no political stances. Instead of like going like taking stances on both sides of an issue, they tried to take no stance on any issue, just so that they could avoid like being the controversial thing right after the election.
I was gonna say that's kind of a problem of the movie, like standing at the cusp between like trying to, or the MCU in general, trying to stand at the cusp between like our world and not like our world, because then you do have to question, like, when there's a movie like this where it's like, oh, the president is like a major character. It's like you gotta ask, like, okay, but what are his actual? There's a part you do have to wonder, like, how is it that you've managed to not like acknowledge any like actual positions or any like actual?
Yeah,
what later point out.
What is the president's policy package in this kind of MCU? And the answer is
what party?
Shoulder, fuck it.
Dead Domain brings up what political party even is the president. Yeah. There's nothing.
America and Japan instead of any country with an active interest in the real world in challenging American hegemony. China? Russia? Who's that? We can use political imagery.
Like the conflict.
They don't want to China for a reason, because they want to sell the movie in China.
But
they don't. That's the thing, though, right? They don't want to sell it in Russia. Like
Yeah, no.
like Disney's on the We Ukraine bandwagon. Remember, they're not selling their shit in Russia, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah,
They
I
could
mean,
just do like, meh, we just have Russia fighting against the U.S. for this, meh. But like, they picked Japan. They could have picked India. Like, they could have actually just picked off India and been like, fuck you, you fucking Americans wanted to interpose. This is literally our waters. We want
I
the
think it would have
mineral
been
for
really funny
ourselves.
if they picked
And that'd be fine. We'd be fucking chilling. But nah, we just had fucking.
They should have picked France.
We should have picked France.
An empty vessel.
We're gonna have Macron like fist fighting the
Set
Hulk
decoration could
for rights to adamantium.
I'm
True.
just imagining Captain America. He's in a serious fight, and then he gets smacked with a giant like adamantium baguette.
Captain France just shows up.
China? Russia? Who's that? We can use political imagery, but only as an empty vessel. A set decoration to the ongoing march of monoculture that continues to katamari itself
Yes,
into
they want to sell. Believe it or not, they want to sell the movie to Democrats and Republicans. They want everyone to pay for the movie.
Yes, and so that's the point of criticism, Rangi, is that like by trying to do both sides so fucking hard that you don't offend anybody, you've made it so that your movie is nothing at all. There is no reason to watch it.
But the problem is they don't even have to like offend, because they can choose there was a political issue that people would have sides that would take sides on, that we have no like concept.
Oh, like pedophilia? Yeah, we'll just have a movie, a Marvel movie about hunting down pedophiles.
I'm talking about like for example, the adamantium thing. It's like, well, what would
Yeah.
the Democrats versus the Republicans position be? Would that be affected? Well, and you don't even have to necessarily acknowledge
that's
which
just
party
it, right?
has which.
You can, because like there's gonna be people who are gonna be like, it's Indian sovereign territory in like waters. India should have primacy of rights to the adamantium, and then there's gonna be people who are like, wait a second, but like I kind of want the rights to the adamantium for my businesses. You know, it's gonna, and that's gonna be people on both sides of the aisle for different reasons, but it'll be people on both sides.
Yeah, exactly. That's why that can be like a conflict that you can
In
have.
fact, yeah, that's why I don't think anyone actually has a problem with the fact that the core political conflict is about the adamantium. I think most people are like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, that's why you can do that without like tying any. And that's what I don't get with because the big problem is just like the way they frame the like political conflict, where it's just such a ludicrous thing, and then it is set dressing, but you don't.
And then they just like resolve it. Yeah, fuck.
Into that.
Yeah, they just kind of like are like, okay, now we'll just wait. Fuck, don't like some of the pilots get mind controlled or some shit?
Yeah,
Isaiah gets mind controlled at the beginning. Yeah,
not Isaiah. I was talking about the pilots, the ones that were like on the like a couple American pilots get mind controlled and like go and attack Japan, and like Japan attacks America, and shit happens. I zoned out for.
I don't remember that part.
This is the weird thing.
I just remember Japan gets pissed at America because of Ross or some shit. I don't know.
They did because the mind control pilots.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is a
oh
world
shoot!
where, like,
yeah, it's coming back to me now.
Exists for mind control being like a thing. Like, we know Scarlet Witch could do that, for example. Hell, she made Hulk could do. So all the presidents is like, yeah, we're investigating this. We think there's mind control involved.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate that unfortunately we should have picked one of the two options of like either the people in the universe are aware that mind control is a thing and like are like viably gonna like investigate this and we integrate this into the story, or we just like don't use mind control and make it like an actual like conflict that's motivated instead of yeah, my pilots have been mind controlled. Yeah, oh golly.
Especially because, as said, mind control is the thing that's like being used in the universe.
There's magic involved, and people are aware of this.
I mean, and the multiverse destroys, soul sucking, everything. Okay, MCU is fucking weird, and then you can't die, or not. I don't know.
I was just talking about like Scarlet Witch could mind control. Oh shit!
I mean,
dude, knows about that.
But even the fucking US know about mind control. Winter Soldier mind control. They know about Black Widow mind
Yeah,
control.
that's true too. You
The
have
Winter Soldier.
the
Fuck
Winter
yeah,
Soldier,
that's right.
Yep.
and the UN knows about that too.
Like the entire
Yep.
world knows about it. Black Widow, Winter
I-
Soldier.
Like the entire fucking world was like, this is like major like international news about the Winter Soldier. Yeah, everyone knows about that. Like literally everyone.
Yeah, and Japan probably has even more access because well, the UN was involved with that whole like plot, and Japan is part of the UN.
Yep. In
Here.
fact, consider also that it's the ambassador to Japan is who we see. So like it's the diplomatic corps of Japan, which is they're gonna have pretty close connections to one another.
Yeah.
Recognizable
It's
mass,
weird.
all the while
Ross
becoming
just
as
has to make a phone call and say, "Hey, there's some mind control stuff going on. Mr. Japanese president, or or what did
A
they
little
call
dog just ran up to me out of the blue.
Prime Minister, that's it. I think they have a Prime Minister. But yeah, Mr. Japanese Prime Minister, sir. Like, our guys that were mind controlled there. We're doing an investigation. Here's like our documentation that shows like there's no orders or anything about this. Be careful about phones. That's how we think that's being done.
Yeah, that's yep.
Okay.
God.
beige, palatable, and inoffensive as possible. The ongoing march of monoculture that continues to we can use political imagery, but only as an empty vessel, a set decoration to the ongoing march of monoculture that continues to katamari itself into an unrecognizable mass, all the while becoming as beige, palatable, and inoffensive as possible.
I'm so tired.
The end
I
result of
wasn't
this
sure
is
what Katamari. I thought they said calamari for a minute.
What the
I don't
fuck?
know what.
Ongoing march of monoculture is what they said.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to respond unless.
Well, I was gonna say this is one of those other things when you're talking with all these political terms. When you're making a video like this where you
I will say, I think this actually does hurt their point from earlier, though. The point earlier, how this is like symbolic of like how American cultural dominance at the box office, or like American cultural primacy is like starting to wane. Then this is also like the sign of the ongoing march of monoculture, ergo American culture. These are actually contradictory positions.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So I'm not actually sure how they square this one away.
I don't know what they mean, and necessarily like because my understanding of these words that was contradictory. That's why I was confused. I was like, wait a minute.
I'm gonna be honest. For me, it's like gibberish. It's like, dude, I don't care. Can you make an actual point about what do you want to think about the movie instead of like saying like, here's the politics? Or like, can you give me context first?
Like general trends and like making a wider point about like the state of the box office.
They're also not, like I said,
Which isn't the problem.
I think Unity's confusion. I think highlights one of the broader points. It's like you're talking about a lot of concepts that the average YouTube viewer probably isn't going to understand. You should
perhaps
if you're going to make points based off
like, even that, I was like,
give a rudimentary explanation.
What you have to consider. I guess it also factors into how much of it's the same thing we made with one of the Organized Chaos Alistair videos, because you're like, oh well, if you're not American, you might not get this point.
Because I have to assume that they mean something different when they say monoculture, because otherwise, it's contradictory.
What do you mean? Yeah, no, I think it's just a contradiction. I think they're doomer posting a little bit here.
A little bit,
dude. I don't even.
Probably, because I don't. That it's something I would.
If I were like able to ask them, I would ask about this. I'm not sure how it lines up.
How about you provide that?
If
Okay,
they were
here's a
in
statement.
the call with us, I'd probably ask like, well, wait, what do you mean by monoculture? You said this
okay, it was like.
So are you talking about
I would be.
something else, or am I not understanding you properly?
I will tell this fuckhead provide me context in the film, or else I would not listen to you. I would just say fake words all the time, and just like, oh, just make political statement
Fake
about every
word.
single film.
What do you
Fuck
mean
me.
fake words?
You mean fake words? They're
Fake
real
word.
words. They're just
Fake fake
big words.
say
That's
fake
sorry. I thought you
word.
said fake
Fake
words.
word.
Oh God, sorry. I also missed. I heard this
You
fake
will
word.
bust
Ah,
out.
you just invented words. You silly goose.
Sorry. Yeah, I misheard you.
I bet Unity will bust out the. I do kind of hate that when people like try to use more complex language to sound smarter when it really
I
just
think
bogs down the conversation.
I
And
hate when they do that too. I think that it depends though, because I've heard that criticism used against people who are just using big words in the proper context, and it's very frustrating when that happens
yeah,
as well.
yeah, I agree with you there. It's a case of you should use more complex language in the right circumstance. I just don't know if your YouTube video a review of Captain America 4 is the right
I
circumstance to
think
be used
sure. I
to
don't see any
use
reason for it to
without
not be.
substantiating with what you mean.
I
Sure.
that sure. I guess. Just feel like it'd be a little bit frustrating if the position was like some people in the audience just don't know what monoculture means, and so you have to explain that.
I will say I didn't have this problem with or at least from what I watched of their 2 hour Synthetic Man video, except that was more focused on, I guess, universally understood like political ideas than this is
Uh,
generally.
sorta, kinda. It's like
Like,
all of it is very left
I
leaning.
Well, yeah, I watched about half of that video, so I don't know. There could be more
I
later. Who
it,
knows?
they're not gonna like
oh,
jump you with brah communism brah or anything like that. So
this
True.
video, can you guys just tell me when would this person provide me context of this of the film? Because I'm just gonna hear political rumbles.
Captain America: Brave
yeah,
New
okay,
I mean, it is a political channel,
yeah,
so I mean,
World. A
yeah, they're
grounded
discussing it in the context of yeah.
thriller that
Are they a
isn't
political channel? I did say before I don't know.
They're
they are.
okay. So they're yes and no. They do a lot of media shit, as in like the bread and butter of the channel for a very long time has been like reviewing every single Xbox 360 game that has ever come out. And they're not like in-depth reviews, but it's like I'll do a two reviews in a 16-minute video, basically. So 8 minutes per thing, and then they'll do a ranking of each one. So they've got like an ongoing list that's like fucking massive at this point.
That's kind
But
of
of late, yeah, they've been doing a lot more like modern politics stuff, and then reviewing current thing as it comes out.
That sounds neat, actually.
Yeah, and then also they'll do online drama shit. So they found well,
Oh yeah, they did a recent video. Chud Logic covered that. They did a recent video on Brianna Wu.
I don't know who that is. I haven't seen that video yet.
I know who Brianna Wu is, but that's because I know from back in the day.
I don't know who Brianna Wu is. I have no idea.
No, neither do I. I just
Wait,
know
are
that
you?
was
Wait,
making
Burger
rounds.
doesn't know a drama subject? What the fuck?
No, I was gonna say the funny thing is one of the old memes about Brianna Wu from back in the Gamergate days was everyone would call her literally who.
Interesting. So
grounded.
yeah, then I would be
Yeah,
interested in your thoughts on that
comes
video.
from the Gamergate, anti Gamergate days. So it's one of those things where she's she used to be like a really batshit insane lefty from what I remember, and then like she moderated herself a lot, and I think she tried to run for office at some point. I don't know much about her myself, other than I know she used to be involved in like the anti-Gamergate stuff.
A political intrigue with no politics and no intrigue, and most damningly, a film that wears the guise of civility politics and unity in a cultural climate where those things are currently tearing the country apart. It's almost impressive how little of a new trail this movie blazes for its regurgitation of more popular films made a decade ago, like Winter Soldier, particularly because its position as a follow up to the Disney Plus show Falcon and the Winter Soldier should leave it primed to break new ground And
Yeah,
this is where the story.
they think that Falcon and the Winter Soldier is like a fucking amazing show. By the way, just so we're clear.
Oh,
Yeah,
is that
they're
in like
Blaze.
another video
Yeah,
or?
they're Blaze Falcon and the Winter Soldier here.
Fuck you. Fuck
Okay.
you.
Huh.
Go fuck yourself for even thinking that.
Story is most
Hey.
insulting. So let's lay some groundwork. Sam Wilson is the new Captain America, and he's struggling with that responsibility.
No, wait, sorry. So is there a separate video they have talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Again, the switch to like new different content has been in the last like couple of years. So
especially when the new president asks for his help to restart the Avengers. Enter Isaiah Bradley, who the film dubs as the Forgotten Captain America. He was a soldier who was injected with the same super serum as Steve Rogers, but being a black man, he was imprisoned and experimented on by the US government in an analog to the real-world experimentation the US did on black Americans, like the Tuskegee experiments where hundreds of black people...
Don't get mad, Unity. It did happen. Like, that is true.
I mean,
yeah, no.
Yeah, analog.
I don't know if
make any
it's
sense.
analogous, except it did happen, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's trying to make a comparison, but like obviously there is no like direct comparison between like, you know, the real experiments done on black people versus like injecting a black guy with super soldier serum and then experimenting on him. Like that didn't happen. Obviously.
That was not even the context in the show.
It's just a surface level comparison, I think I'd say.
Yeah, well, yeah.
What happened in the show is like
they wanted to do Isaiah as like an analog for like one of the Tuskegee experiments and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't see that. No,
that doesn't really make the show any better. It's just like, oh, this is an interesting little factoid.
Yeah. Like if the show used that comparison, then it would be. But if the show doesn't use that comparison, it's kind of sitting there.
The thing is, like, that was not an experiment. They actually used him, and they actually succeed. And he actually even ripped off the Bucky's arm. And he actually sent in field missions. And then reasons they experiment on him, and then just like take his blood samples, and then just like let's take pity off him and just forge papers, and then he just live the rest of his life without being hurt. That was such a weird thing to even say, because like, I don't know, because when I heard this I was like, no, he's sent on missions. He even beat the Winter Soldier. That was not experiment.
It's
weird.
I don't know.
Naturally, Isaiah is skeptical of Sam, his
I'll
friend.
trust you on that, Unity.
Oops.
The US did on black Americans, like the Tuskegee experiments where hundreds of black people were given syphilis without their knowledge. Naturally, Isaiah is skeptical of Sam, his friend working with the new president.
Yeah, no, did Isaiah volunteer for the super soldier serum? That's the other thing to consider. I don't remember if he did or not.
He volunteered.
Yeah.
Let me give me a second. Give me a second to recall, because holy shit, that show is a shit show.
Haha, I get it, because it's a shit show. Ha 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 ha.
Okay, let's see.
I feel like I'm gonna have to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier at some point, just so that I can have context for all these fucking Cap 4 discussions. Which fucking sucks.
It keeps coming up, yeah.
Yeah,
discussion
so hey,
about it keeps coming up.
You all want to schedule a Falcon and the Winter Soldier watch party some point?
I can't think of anything else I would rather do than watch Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Or sorry, Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Drugs. I'd rather do drugs.
We could do both, Rangi. Hooray!
We could do a drinking game.
No.
Yeah, found it. So I don't know. Okay, found the context finally. So a handful of us got shot out with different versions of that serum, but they didn't tell us what it is.
Okay, so
I guess
yeah. So then, actually, it was absolutely what the fuck.
I don't even know what to say about this, because like the context in the show, like it's very contradictory.
Well, okay,
it's an experiment, but they
they
also sent him as
intended.
They also sent him as Captain America for a while because he can beat the Winter Soldier. and Hydra somehow has no record of that one.
Sure.
And he was very polite.
Just like I'm just saying, like just because the show like does it shittily doesn't mean that it wasn't trying to make it analogous. It sounds like it absolutely fucking was.
Well, this is the funny thing is they were like doing the experimenting on him Fig, but then they like sent him on missions, so it's like, it's very.
Let's see if the black man can survive a mission. Oh, whoa! I can't believe he's capable of it.
Well, it's kind of like I remember hearing about there was like a North Korean like test pilot, right? And he gets to the air with this like North Korean like experimental jet, and like then he just decides, you know what? I'm in a jet. I'm gonna defect now.
Yeah, that sounds fun. It's a constant worry of the North Koreans in the Olympics is that they'll a lot of the athletes will just fucking defect.
I would.
Yeah, I would too.
But no, they figured that out. They just told their families.
Hostage, yeah.
True.
To be fair, the show is political. The show is really propaganda, but like it's done so poorly that you think that they actually.
Oh, but the show is
so
the show is propaganda, but the movie isn't allowed to be propaganda. Wow, Unity! Wow!
Dang.
Against the Avengers.
The show is trying
Hundreds of black people were given syphilis without their knowledge. Naturally, Isaiah is skeptical of Sam, his friend working with the new president who has a history of working against the Avengers. But the president claims he's changed and wants to work with the new Captain America. Isaiah represents a knowledge of the oppressive history of America, and with it, everything we associate with the modern American landscape of oppression.
You know what they did to me for being a hero? They put my ass in jail for 30 years. People running tests.
When they need your permission.
Taking my
the
blood.
thing is, here's
coming.
While the suffering and torture.
Okay, the thing is, like at that time, Hydra is controlling Shield, so it's like.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
So basically, what happens is Hydra. So basically, that's Hydra's doing, not Shield, not American Shield doing.
I was gonna say, which Sam knows about. He was involved with the events of.
So wait, hang on. Okay, now I need context because it sounds like things might have gotten a little bit fucked in my head. So if it's just Hydra that is behind this, why wasn't like as soon as Shield is fucked, like and is released on the internet, why is Isaac, whatever his name is, why isn't he like being celebrated as the hero that he actually is, as opposed to like living in obscurity?
Because
the thing at the end of
the writers was manipulating Shield behind the scenes at that point.
I just said that after it fell, Rangi.
They forgot already.
The thing is, here's the other thing. Funny thing. Here's the funny thing. In Falcon and Winter Soldier, at the end, they actually have like a golden statue made of Isaiah Bradley. Oh fuck! I think my roommate hates me. Give me a second.
Did you just say his roommate hates him?
Yeah, he did.
He said his roommate is here.
Oh.
Yes. How far along? Like, how much left, Burger? Because my battery is not looking that hot.
Shit, 10 minutes of this video left. We're a little over halfway.
Okay, we can probably get through that.
Because I'm at 31%, and I started at 75%. I'm like less than halfway.
Shit.
Yeah. Okay. So my family told me to shut up.
Ooh.
And torture he underwent is acknowledged, much like when systemic racism and how it can still affect our present is brought up. It is treated as something of the past, something we've all moved on from despite evidence to the contrary. Even his friend, Sam Wilson, wearing the red, white, and blue uniform as a fellow black man, basically hand waves away his concerns, his warranted concerns and distrust of the government. Because the government isn't like that anymore.
Do you think Isaiah pays taxes?
I think so, yeah, probably.
So what do we think of this point here? What do you think of that?
Honestly. Because it's as though even if Falcon Winter Soldier was fucking shit at trying to get the point across, it did bluntly and like stumblingly get across the point that like that is like how the government ended up operating.
But they don't really succeed with that.
Sure, but unless like they get to the point where like they convey the idea accidentally that the government absolutely and positively does not conduct themselves in such a manner at any point as soon as Hydra's gone, then
well, they forgot Hydra was in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. or was like in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. and kind of manipulating the government. Like
S.H.I.E.L.D. wasn't like manipulating. Okay, now I'm way fucking dude. I need to just watch this fucking show. Jesus fucking Christ.
Well, the show is what forgets that Hydra was involved at all.
Yeah, the show forgot the Hydra control S.H.I.E.L.D. at the time.
Yeah, but
so basically what happened is
so let me get this straight then. S.H.I.E.L.D. is in direct control of the Super Soldier program.
They would have to be, yeah. If it's the American government doing it.
But that does okay. So we're just presuming that they are, sure. Okay, so presuming that they are, then as soon as S.H.I.E.L.D. falls and all the data is released, again, I would ask like, why has the status quo not really changed for Isaac outside of I guess he gets to go home? Question mark.
It's never really
in prison.
It's never really acknowledged because they.
Yeah,
I think
that's kind of the point. Then
no? Hydra would have had to have been involved.
Yeah, even though Hydra was involved in like the actively like imprisoning him, the status quo is like now instead of like not being he's no longer in prison, but like he's like everything he went through is still not being acknowledged.
Yeah, the only thing I can imagine is like it fell through the cracks or something. Like,
I guess. Sure.
Yeah,
but the show doesn't ever like acknowledge the likelihood that Hydra was probably the ones like responsible for the atrocities, even though Sam definitely would know that because he was involved with Cap 2.
It's so weird because like in because this is exactly what Winter Soldier is doing. Like in the Winter Soldier film, where it's like Hydra is stabbing people, like experimenting on people to test out super soldier serums, so like they can mind control them and make them powerful. Which is like, oh dude, that is exactly what Falcon Winter Soldier is describing what Hydra is doing.
Despite
and then
so what do you think about Dead Domain's point they just made here? I forgot.
We've been discussing the burger.
Oh yeah.
Also the funny thing is, the funny thing is at the end of Falcon Winter Soldier, there's a golden statue made for Isaiah in the Captain America Force completely ignores that.
Museum exhibit too.
I think he does. I think
it's made of
the fact that the core conflict of the film revolves around Harrison Ford's President Ross keeping a minor character from a 2007 movie at a government black site and torturing him.
2008.
For over a
Cry about it.
Isaiah is politically charged imagery given a face and a name and put into a movie where they don't even give the president a political party. At every turn, the film deftly dances around accidentally drawing any parallels to real-world things.
I feel like earlier they tried to make the point that there is stuff definitely tied to real-world politics. I'm not sure that lines up. No.
It said that like
we talked about this. Our position is it should be more from.
No, I'm saying what Dead Domain is saying.
Myself. No, their original point was that like it is desperately trying to say nothing and have nothing attached to anything, and in so doing, it's saying something. And what it is saying is that its aim is to say nothing.
Yeah, that's consistent. Yeah.
And that it's trying to be like we should all enjoy the status quo smile,
like Ross, the Red Hulk, and any other unstable people who may be running the real-world government, angrily making devastating choices that affect millions and starting international conflicts.
By the way, this is fucking terrible. This is this is them saying that
don't spoil it.
Ross should have been Trump, which is fucking shit.
It's a weird ass point.
Trump allegory.
Terrible point. Awful point.
See what I did there? It's like Like if the
I mean,
red.
yeah.
Hold on, let's go back just so we can hear this. So we can hear
Why?
this.
Every
Also,
We all
they're
agree.
asking for this in a.
No, except I
Remember,
want
this
no. Let's be
movie is
fair and
supposed to
let
be.
Dead Domain make the point, and let's just hear it.
turn, the film deftly dances around accidentally drawing any parallels to real world things, like Ross, the Red Hulk, and any other unstable people who may be running the real world government, angrily making devastating choices that affect millions and starting international conflicts. You see what I did there? It's like if the Red Hulk was Trump. Because they both look bad. They both look really bad. But
Oh god, that was fucking awful. That is such a
Oh.
terrible point.
What the
Yeah,
I
fuck,
forgot
they
about
man?
are
that last part.
I'll start
It's
with the
such a
obvious. I'll
clunkily
start with the
implemented
obvious
way.
point of why they don't do that. Believe it or not, Disney wants to sell tickets to this movie. They want to make as much money off the movie as possible. This is a commercial product.
Yeah, that's God. I'm gonna fuck. I can't believe you're actually gonna make me defend this fucking shit ass point, Rangi. Fuck you for that. So yeah, that's kind of the fucking point. Is that like maybe we shouldn't be trying to make art into just a commercial product. And like they can get as many people in seats as and that be the end goal. I think that like I would agree with that. That's actually been the core like point of this entire fucking thing. So like to defend this decision from the
Who's
lens
gonna
of
fund it?
but more people will not want to see it is a fucking like complete like yeah no duh but like maybe take a stance at any point. However, it's just that this is a terrible fucking awful no good very bad way to do that. And also that like this was filmed before Trump was in office. So like what if it was Biden like year 2 and we just had Trump allegory for our fucking guy in the movie? That'd be just fucking shit.
I
Also,
don't
the
even know.
other thing is, it's not like the Trump allegory villain. It's like a interesting trail to blaze anyway.
Hey,
I
hey,
don't
It
Rangi,
is.
know.
have you
Yeah, can be.
remember? Do you remember Mickey 17?
Oh God, yeah. Oh, don't remind me of
Jesus
that.
Christ,
I
that
don't know what that
Trump
is.
is so in your face. I was like, dude, what the fuck? You should just replace him. You should just call Mark Ruffalo just Trump at this point because he's like
Isn't
he
he
wears
stuff?
exactly like Trump.
It's also
He has
just
the
an
ethnic.
it's this is also just a terribly like
Yeah.
segued point. It's just awful all around.
The other
There's nothing
the
that
other
works about
thing
this.
is, if let's go with the okay, you believe art should say something all the time, and you want them to like take a stance on.
Well, no, I feel like
No,
that's not what
that's
Dead
not.
Domain is saying. It's not that it needs to take a stance all the time. It's that it needs to say fucking anything, like in general.
Yeah, okay, that's
Which
what I
is
mean.
okay. So
What
like, just so we're clear, I think there's like two positions on the matter. It's like, should your art try and say something? Like and like, what should your art try and say? Yada yada. Or like, can you make art for art's sake? Can you just like fuck around and make a thing because you like it? I think both are a valid position. But like, I think that like Disney wandering in drunkenly with a third actor. Like, what if we made art for the express and sole purpose of making the most fucking money possible? I don't know about that one. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, even because they can say something while also making as much money as
Or they could
that is.
also just make art for art's sake while also making money. Or they could even
Yeah,
get this,
but
be willing to take an L in the money department in order to make something better. That's fucking crazy. But like that is an option on the fucking table.
well, that's easy to say, but then you also have to understand that like there's hundreds of millions of dollars at stake. And I agree, they should probably do art for art's sake. But I also think that uh, arguing that how you should make the bad guy the angry bad
Yeah, no. What I'm
Trump
saying,
allegory is just a retarded point in general.
yes, I
Like,
agree. Well,
it would
I,
not make better art.
I it
No,
would be yes, because it would just be fucking shit. It would be shit, and it would be
no,
bad. Um,
no.
it,
Do you
Don't
know what
like
would be better?
what would Dead Domain think it adds to the movie if we're assuming the idea that it's executed well, which
Okay, okay. You know what? I just want to ask what that domain thinks about Trump. like
But
aside from he's
why-
a shit
Dead
person,
Domain
he's a really
is
terrible person.
I
He's
think
a
they
really
obvious.
made
horrible
it pretty
person.
left,
obvious.
so yeah, I think it's obvious. Dead
Yeah,
Domain hates Trump. That's clear.
but like
You know what?
matter. Like
You know, you know what? You know what would make the movie better if Ross is actually an allegory for Obama.
well, sure, I guess.
Oh, it is kind of the same point. It's like
It's the
Yeah,
same
it's a
wavelength.
point, but what if it was the blue candidate?
yes, exactly. That's like
Yeah,
these points.
that'd be
Like
the book.
I don't think that if they
So
want them to say anything at all and make a political stance, how about one other than just her Trump bad, because that's like extremely
yeah,
You
I
know,
would
It's
rather
Trump
them
bad, Trump
take a
damaging country. Yeah, blah blah
fucking
blah.
what if we like fucking took
this
an
is the
aspect,
same
like
shit.
if we presumed the idea that we ought to like make this about Trump, what if we like focused the perspective at all and focused on like an aspect, like say I don't know, trying to like butt in on an international agreement over minerals such as I don't know fucking adamantium. Oh wow, that's fucking crazy. We could actually like do something about like trying to like center the like role of your conflict solely around the acquisition of minerals. That's fucking crazy. But you know what we're not gonna do? Just like make him John Trump, where he's just like fucking wanders around, like meh, find the minorities, meh,
I mean,
find the
Like,
he
immigrants,
is sued
hunt
as
them
like
down.
let's just
Captain
see if
America,
there's
I
any
need
more
you
to
to hunt.
this point. I don't think there
I,
is,
I,
except I'm
I,
just
I've
curious.
No,
heard
it is just I want Trump in
the
my movie, man.
That
I,
and then
I
they
know
just move on. Yeah,
Also,
Yeah, it's a shit point. We all
it's
agree it's a shit
terrible.
point. We
imagining
need to
I think we can keep going.
Graham Wilson, awful Trump, or awful Captain America, worst Captain America we've ever had.
Not that
he's
I
just
hate
like
black people, just specifically. It's just
because
and
them
then he's just like
specifically.
Nothing about
and
the
starting
race.
international
He just is.
conflicts. You see what I
Look
did
it up.
I
there?
love
Is
the
like
Africans.
if the Red Hulk was Trump. Because they both look bad. They both look really bad. But also because parallels between the real world political structures and the military fetishistic fantasy of Brave New World are unavoidable even as
Christ.
Disney does its damnedest to avoid them. The same is true of the fabricated mineral conflict between Japan and America. It wants the emotional impact of conflict and is comfortable selling it in the packaging of political upheaval. But every aspect of its politics are so cartoonishly tailored to be removed from real life, it wraps back around to show the real goal here. Not any kind of examination of politics or power or the dynamics between a
Why do
government
you edit
that
your trailer like
experiments
that?
and locks innocent people up at black sites. That isn't
I do
interrogating.
find it
And why should it be when the film is more
kind of
interested in
distracting
saying,
seeing this
the system works, we just need to work together. It's about
the
unity.
boundary of this with the screen there. I find that really distracting, personally.
A little bit.
Okay.
Anyway, they said a
Hey,
lot there. Let's
Yeah, they
get
said
back
a
on
lot,
to.
and I'm waiting for them to. They haven't finished the
Real
point.
life,
And you
it
paused mid-point. God damn it.
Okay.
wraps back around to show the real goal here. Not any kind of examination of politics or power or the dynamics between a government that experiments and locks innocent people up at black sites. That isn't interrogated. And why should it be when the film is more interested in saying, the system works, we just need to work together. It's about unity. Together we can work within the system to fix things. Despite the fact this damn system keeps breaking down, and every time someone says it's fixed, turns out y'all actually just got like people at black site torture facilities. And the film itself doesn't even seem to know about the intense imagery it's summoning.
Yeah,
I mean, they do seem to
it
kind
is
of
basically what we were
over.
saying earlier, that it's just, hey,
Yeah.
if you just be
But
better. It is sort of that idea that they're.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
The
Sure.
film does gloss over like the whole having like locked
People
the
locked at black
leader.
sites. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Like that's a real thing that does happen, and then we're just like, well, but it doesn't because it's in a cartoon. See, he's a little goofy goober with a big old head. See,
yeah. But I would also say like I don't agree like the solution isn't the solution isn't okay. Well, we can't change the system from within, which is kind of the way they're framing it in.
They are framing it that way, yes. And I can. It's feasible and reasonable to like disagree with that position of like.
Yeah,
I don't agree that we should like just overthrow America? Question mark.
yeah. I don't think that we should be throwing out our car because the gear shift kind of sticks, or there's the problem with
Yeah, but I
engine
think that like
might
their
be
point would be
serious.
in response that like if the gear shift sticks when you're at at high speeds and it fucks you really fucking badly to the point that the car could end up crashing, then maybe you should buy a new car.
Oh, or like actually sit down and like get to work on figuring out, okay, well, what is causing this and how do we fix it
Yeah,
before you're in that high speed chain.
yeah, but that's
Situation.
kind of the problem is that like in real life there isn't a scenario where we can just kind of pull over the
Well,
fucking
but
world
yeah,
and like just
I
fix the
agree with
things.
that.
We're just kind of always on the
The other
fucking
problem I
highway
always
and having to
the
fix
only-
the car as we fucking fly down the road.
the other problem I always have is like, okay, yeah, so you're saying we need to dismantle the system. Great. So what do we do after that?
Yeah, so that's kind of where we would be like leaving off of like the conversation is like unfortunately I don't know that like there's a really good way to um fit that into this because remember have I shown you that dude, the fucking actual communist who like covered Andor and was just like, well, you see, communist like Andor is just about Narkina 5 is about wage working and how your job is really fucking imprisoning. And wouldn't it be better if there was a system of economics where you just didn't have to go to work? Yeah,
Oh,
it's fucking
yeah,
terrible.
it's
Fucking
pie in the
awful.
skyism that there with that type of thing.
Yeah, so like if
Yeah,
you were gonna like actually fit, I don't know that there's a way to like table like the next step in this review without it going wildly off the fucking rails.
yeah. But this
Like
is
it's just
just
a
this is
political
me more.
manifesto in the middle of the review.
But this is just my kind of issue in general. This like of this view and position of like, okay, I want to dismantle the system. I'm like, okay, that's all great in theory, but we should probably have an idea of like what
What to replace
you
it with?
can't just not have a system, and we should
I
probably figure
mean,
out like.
we do have the Hobbesian state of nature.
No,
Hmm,
we should all do better. That's all we need
That
to
is
do.
a
I
great
agree.
True.
point.
We should all do
We should
better.
just do good.
Just do good, people.
As Isaiah becomes the target of a brainwashing assassination attempt on
Wait,
the
did I miss
president, which
something? Hold on.
and the
No,
film
you
itself
did
doesn't
not
even
really.
seem to know about the intense imagery
Oh.
it's summoning. As Isaiah becomes the target of a brainwashing assassination attempt on the president, which ends with Sam talking him down from essentially death by cop because, understandably, Isaiah doesn't want to go back. He promised himself he'd never go back to being in a prison. And here on the screen is Captain America, the modern Captain America, the symbol of the modern American way. A new, diverse Captain America, one the film tells us repeatedly represents everybody. And when faced with an embodiment of the history of black oppression from the government, he sides with the police, saying he will help clear Isaiah's name as 3 white police officers tackle the old man to the ground. Don't fight back. The system works, and we need to protect it even as innocent people are hurt. Because
So,
as
the
Cap
system
puts
actually
it,
works
he
if he
wants
actually has
to
brain
believe
cells.
people can change. And as an audience, subliminally, that should mean that structures can change too. The same people who were responsible for disasters.
It's not like he's necessarily innocent. Well, he's innocent in the sense that he's being like Isaiah's being like control, but he's not innocent as far as like he's not a threat to other people. It probably is a good idea to like restrain him because he's trying to like
Kill people.
people. They don't know he's being mind controlled, and once they do
What the
know, it's
fuck?
Yeah.
like this whole like police brutality thing. I get what they're going for, but this probably
No.
isn't the right circumstance to like bring that analogy for.
No,
No.
but like, dude, he just shot. I was like, I don't care, is he mind control or not? He just shot the president. I was like, dude, even if like a
Yes.
straight white man shot the president, of course he's gonna get arrested as
You
well.
just tried to kill somebody.
Yeah, that's not
What the
exactly.
fuck?
No. Yeah.
And also the the system actually works if anyone has brain cells. Just like just look at the security camera. Just like he's mind control low. This is exactly what happened later, by the way. So that was so stupid.
Well, they do actually figure out he's mind controlled.
They do.
That mind control exists for the plot, and
The
so
camera.
I'd assume they detain him, and then once they figure out he's
you'd assume that, and then but you see he's still just too much of a risk, and so they're just gonna fucking kill him with no evidence, and evidence to the contrary, in fact, and also no trial, I think.
Right,
you remember that?
True. I guess that bolsters Dead Domain's point, although I don't remember them bringing that up.
I mean, it kind of does, but like the specific instance of
so they're going with like the imagery of it. They're specifically trying to restrain the
guy actively.
I don't think the imagery was the best way to argue that point. I think there is a way to argue that point with the events in the movie more so than the imagery.
Yeah,
like with what you
I
mentioned,
think the
Sano.
events of the movie,
Yeah.
sure, but
It supports the point better than just the imagery of that.
Yeah.
Like
Sano,
if you were mine could try to assassinate Bert, I feel like I would help restrain you. As much as
you
I
wouldn't
trying to assassinate.
Wait, hang on. You wouldn't help restrain me? You'd let me just fucking kill Bert?
I would help restrain you.
Oh, I see.
Sympathize with
I was a little
the
confused
cause
there
of
for a second.
assassinating Burger.
The thing is, like, if that domain actually brings up the context in the movie, that domain would be like, shit, that does not. Of course, anyone would get arrested. So he was like, yeah, look at this imagery instead. I was like, fuck.
We have about 7 minutes of this, Sano. Just I don't know how much battery power you're running with.
20%.
Ooh, all right.
Can change. We should want to work with them, alongside them, together, instead of standing against them. And would you believe that even in the film, that's total bullshit? It turns out that the same government Sam represents and fights for has been working to keep the film's big bad, a minor character from the Ed Norton Incredible Hulk film, and they've been torturing and experimenting on him while forcing him to continue making technology and medical breakthroughs for them. In the shadows of the government, those same unethical, immortal exploits happen, as they did with people like Isaiah. This is never questioned. It's just merely chalked up to a one-off incident that
this
Ross tried
way
to...
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a way, way, way better example of this.
Yes,
yeah, this is a solid example.
Of this rather than Sam trying to restrain the guy who's...
Because this part's just actually true of the system's changed and fixed, guys. It's all better. No, it's literally the same fucking thing is happening just to someone else you didn't see.
Yeah, it's so weird because you see, this guy's not black; he's green, so you can't make that point.
Buried as he climbed.
Also, Civil War fucking contradicted. It's so weird.
The ladders of power.
The thing is, like, if he's
Unity,
it's so weird. It's such a weird
How does Civil
situation
War
because
contradict it?
Yeah, because like everything is Civil War. It's like how am I supposed to say this? Because if this guy is like in charge of like, oh, he actually is like so terrible when it comes to like destroying Harlem, and he's blamed for everything. I was like, why is he hired as like the guy who is in charge of like superhero security?
What?
Sorry.
Oh, he's talking about Ross. Ross
Yeah.
Ross
Ross
is put in charge of
I'm not sure what
the Accord.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Ross
that's
behind the
following.
Ross is behind the Accords in Civil War. So if he was like seen as this guy who's like entirely for Harlem,
So
this point,
I think that's the point Unity's making.
What?
Yeah, it's so.
Yeah, but like that doesn't fucking track. That's why I'm like, that doesn't actually fucking. I'm so fucking lost then, because that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, because he's the guy who destroyed Harlem. So why would he have been put in charge of anything superhero related in the future? In terms of this movie, when we've seen charge of superhero shit in earlier movies, and therefore he wouldn't it's fine from a black side.
I just understood what his point was about.
I am very fucking lost. Unity's saying.
I think I was like, what is he supposed to say? Because like I don't know. It's like there's a lot of plot problems in this movie that was like, okay, that's you can't do that if that's what's established in the previous.
we're stuck on how does it contradict Civil War? That's what we're all stuck on right now. We're trying
Yeah,
to understand what you were.
I think Unity might just be a bit tired brain.
Yeah, I think we just have to keep going.
Yeah.
All the way to being
Yeah,
the president.
and also just to be clear, like
Now,
when you're
if you
saying
were a
like you
good
can't say it because
screenwriter,
he's green and not black, no, he was saying the same thing. They were
just merely
saying that.
chalked up to a one-off
They're making the same
incident
point.
that Ross tried to keep buried as he climbed the ladders of power all the way to being the president. Now, if you were a good screenwriter with a handle on theme, you might look at the similarities between Isaiah and the leader, the name of the big bad, and go, hey, there's something here on the nature of power changing how it represents itself to the public over time while still abusing and exploiting whoever it can to maintain that power.
Sure.
You might look at the overall structure of the film and series and go, hey, it sure does seem like Captain America, who represents the underdog.
You could definitely make there, yeah.
And I think I think this is a great alternative, yeah.
Yeah, this is a great alternative.
And apparently the American everyman is directly at odds with the goals of the US government and is in fact constantly being arrested. And from those images, you might think to interrogate any of the story's ideas about power, governance, the interests of people in power, or any other number of narrative directions. But if you thought any of that plays into this film, you couldn't possibly be a writer for Disney. That approach would have involved actually examining the real world and the parallels this story has to it, instead of simply waving away the decades of exploitation that led to where we are now. But Brave New World can't do that. Because
you were talking about how, weren't they talking about how the show did it very well? That was also created by Disney.
What? Sorry, Rangi, you cut off.
Weren't they also talking about how Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the show did it very well in their perspective, but that was also created by Disney.
Yeah. So that you also got to consider that Andor exists. So like it's not a Disney in and of itself problem. It's not a Disney in and of itself problem. It's a Falcon. It's a this movie problem particularly, but also I mean like it spans other Marvel projects too.
Well, if they're saying it's a Marvel problem, then I guess my question would be, where's the cutoff point of this is when Marvel started to get shit?
It sounds like the answer to them is Civil War ?
Well, no. They were saying they like.
Well, no, if it's.
No, they said Civil War. Like they like Civil War. Yes, I'm saying like Civil War might be their cutoff.
As when it started to go downhill.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Except then I can't quite gauge where they're putting Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they seem too light. I got the impression, at least, they liked it in the way.
I got that impression too, but I'm not sure what their actual stance is anymore.
You know what?
They didn't actually go into it.
Powerfully charged racial and political imagery.
I think this is
Disney
just a minor contradiction here.
Yeah, it's like probably the most minor contradiction. Really, it's just like, man, Disney, when you're like giving up. It's like how Drinker did that with Acolyte, where it was like, man, if you want to be a writer for Lucasfilm, then everything is shit. When he's fucking praised Andor. So.
To be fair, did he praise Andor after that? I don't know if he'd seen.
No, it was before. It was well before. He praised Andor like in 2023, maybe. It was no, sorry. He praised it like right after it ended, because EFAP like resumed their Andor watch through, because Drinker like praised it, and then they like did their episode like before Christmas, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. So that was well before Acolyte. It's the same idea basically. Of just like when you're doing your thesis, it's easy to go meh, Disney meh, when the problems are a little more complex than that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a similar issue as a lot of like video game industry has with the way people criticize, because people just blame like the publisher of.
They'll just lump it in. It's
they'll be like meh, EA meh, when in reality BioWare is kind of just a fucking shitbag at this point.
Yeah, most of the people who made it good are gone by now.
Yeah.
Where we are now. But Brave New World can't do that. Because with such powerfully charged racial and political imagery, Disney doesn't want to accidentally say anything that might be construed as having artistic value. Instead, they simply want Sam Wilson to be the new mascot of the next decade of the propaganda machine, and the message is that the status quo might be flawed, but together, we can make it all better.
Yeah, that part of the message is fair. I just think they
To
still
frame
haven't
it
exactly
propaganda, yeah,
explained.
no.
Yeah, they haven't
Yeah,
explained that,
especially
and
when we
then they're
consider
only.
that this is apparently on accident. That their message is like, we should just work together, guys. Smile. Yeah, I don't know that we can call it propaganda. I think it's I think that they didn't justify the use of the term.
No.
Yeah, because isn't
I
there
agree.
stance that they said this they didn't intentionally say this? So
Yeah, they like that. This
Propaganda
is the
tends to
point.
have a level of
By
intent
virtue of
behind
being
it.
a point accident.
Well, it can. It doesn't have to,
oh,
except generally it has a level of intent behind it, I would say.
I was gonna say it's kind of also the way they're explaining this is implying a level of intent. So it feels like it kind of contradicts the idea they accidentally said the status quo message, but then this is intended to be like the flagship for the next wave of propaganda for the status quo.
I think I would wager it's they've made a small itty bitty oopsie doopsie there again, which is a little bit frustrating. This is like
Turn
the
your
second
brain
time I think where
off.
they've
Don't
like
worry about the news, about the
tabled
DEI measures
ideas
being
and both of
strict.
them contradict each other, but both of them are doomer, and so because both are doomer, they've conveyed them rather than them being a coherent outlook.
Yeah.
Well,
your quality.
I think what's annoying is because this is probably I assume this is a scripted video. Like they
Yeah, definitely is.
Yes, it is. It is. Yeah.
Outside of that, so.
Yeah, they could have. Yeah. It probably only went through like a draft, probably.
Just to get it out quickly. This came out,
Well,
I think, 3 days after the movie came out here.
It's well, I assume that they did their script and probably went over it once, but like, yeah, no, I don't think they caught the fact that like they have tabled two doomer positions that contradict each other twice now.
I guess that's the difference between this and the Synthetic Man video. Is obviously the Synthetic Man video is a result of hundreds upon hundreds of hours of research and redrafting, whereas this is made.
This was
This
was made on it.
I would almost say this type of video, and they probably wanted to get some of that engagement from the algo, because that is a thing a lot of
yeah.
do.
So I think that like, given that, I will say that like for a review coming out in the first 3 days after a movie, this is actually a pretty fucking good review. Which is why I wanted to cover it so quickly, Burger, because at this point it is well short of like the quality you'd expect, like 5 months on.
I will say that it isn't like a horrendous video. There's just there's some things.
It needs more polish, definitely.
Definitely. There's good parts of the video for sure.
And then
there's also the fact that I just probably fundamentally disagree with their like sort of presupposition about when it comes to like the Disney having to tackle more real world issues, basically. Like
part of it is that for me. I agree with you entirely on that. But like also that it like that the nature of it, things are like the weight of the characters plays a significant and important role. I don't know that part's true. You know what I mean? Like the recognition of the characters is a key part of why the movies suck. Like the fact that they're like obscure as shit is a part of the problem. I don't buy that. That's an argument in favor of like in terms of. Sorry, go ahead.
If this was Steve Rogers Captain America movie written with
exactly the same
plot, I think you could probably write a lot of a similar plot with Steve Rogers.
Yeah, and it would just be fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like the fact that it's Cap as opposed to Falcon in Winter Soldier doesn't mean that Winter Soldier is now good. It's still fucking shit.
Of life being sold to the highest bidder, your LGBTQ kids being targeted by the government for harassment. You see, we have a black Captain America, and look at all the nifty, cool equipment he has now. He's got vibranium wings and little drones. An actor actually did a video with real military members, because look at how cool the military is, kids. The primary difference between New World Order and Captain America 1 and 2, insofar as they have any kind of thematic value, is...
I think they meant Brave New World and Cap 2 and 3, because
I don't think they meant 1 and 2. Again,
No.
yeah, that's a published thing, I think.
Yes.
Because well, I don't think that Cap 1 is much. I think Cap 1 is pretty pro-military. I will say.
Yeah,
Steve Rogers believed in people, not systems and institutions. To him, the systems of government, the institutions of power, were malleable and replaceable, which often put him at odds with those systems. And in those moments, he would rely on people making up those systems to pull through. This might be lofty reading into what are ultimately just better crafted popcorn flicks, but I think watching those movies does actually say something about the political structure of America. At no point when Hydra took over the government did Steve go, yeah, I guess we should probably reach across the aisle and work with them. Masked in the jingoistic colors of the American flag, Steve Rogers is constantly embattled by what he represents in the system around him and what he actually wants to represent to others. The entire reason he was chosen for the original medical experiment that made him a superhero was because of his selflessness and valor. He's the all-American Boy Scout with a heart of gold. The reason he chose Sam as his successor was because, despite not having powers, he saw the same sense of fortitude and self-sacrifice. But like the movie says, Sam Wilson is not Steve Rogers. Disney doesn't want him to be, because if you gave the same sense of distrust of power and institutions to a black man in America, it would mean interrogating a history of how power and institutions affect everyone, including negatively. This is the corporate mandated DEI we can look forward to. Empty heroes who we are told represent us, even as they work to uphold systems that are crushing us all. Is Brave New World propaganda? Yeah, it's the same broad brand of military fetishism that most of my generation have known since 9/11, including G.I. Joe, Transformers, Call of Duty, and plenty of other action.
So I see that's what angle they're going with for the propaganda thing.
I see, yeah.
That
makes more sense now. I don't know if their evidence has supported that.
Well,
I don't get it.
It's a thing of they're just speaking from their own worldview. It's the same as if Drinker was speaking about how Disney did this to have a DEI hire. He's speaking from his own worldview.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like it's like military propaganda. Was like
I can see it from this one, considering that it has like basically nothing to say outside of woo yeah, fighting, yeah, fuck yeah.
Oh, and then there's the military. There is a military giving Falcon his suit towards the beginning.
Yeah, there's the military helping him along, and like, wow, that's so cool, fucking Falcon Man.
I just remembered that the funny thing about the beginning.
You remember, like the military walks in right at the end, is like, whoa, you took care of that bad guy, pretty cool.
Like
the funny part,
going out of his way to fight like enemies of the U.S. government because
they're
like this. I don't know what was the Serpent Society trying to do. I don't
fuck if I remember.
He wants to he basically he wants to exchange the he wants to use the hostage to get information, and he's waiting for his buyer to give him money.
I don't
basically arms dealing roughly.
Something
basically,
like
they just gibberish. Yeah, but it's just gibberish.
Those are hostages, don't they? For no fucking reason, they just have them because you're supposed to have innocent civilians at gunpoint at some point during your movie.
Yeah, and then it's weird. They have
to give a moment to like, oh look at Falcon being a highly competent hero.
It wasn't even Falcon though. It was just like
sorry, no, my Falcon's to Sam being Falcon. That's
remember, Taurus goes after the adamantium, and Falcon's tied down to like the John Man. Remember, and so like I think it's soldiers who go and like save the civilians, right?
Gotcha. This shows how much I remember this tempo.
Yeah, I don't fucking remember shit. It's a very not memorable film.
It is
it's like
movie.
titanium. Yeah, they're just waiting for someone to sell titanium, but the person never came. So.
I got a dip though.
Okay,
we got
almost out of 10 minutes. How many? 2 minutes. Okay.
2 minutes.
Movies and video games. But on a deeper level, Brave New World is almost anti-propaganda. It's so thin it becomes transparent. It's desperate to say nothing, to not offend any volatile political sensibility.
It seems like there's almost two positions that are going against each other in this video, because they just said it's propaganda like twice now, and then now they're backpedaling on that and saying it's almost like it's anti-propaganda. I don't know, man.
Just fucking listen to what their reasoning is. It's the other reasoning itself like contradicts itself. Then I would say, instead of like pausing and being like,
True.
they said propaganda, but now they say anti-propaganda. Which is it? Question mark.
Well, yeah, that's fair. I've seen
Yet
this,
still
so I know
maintain
where
the
it's...
box office domination the MCU has grown accustomed to. It
Yeah.
is art for nobody except boardrooms and shareholders, and AI intake programs that will be writing movies just like it in 5 to 10 years. It's deeply cynical, practically worthless as a creative endeavor. Yet as it builds on the imagery and world and chaos surrounding us, it masquerades as a message of unity, bipartisanship, and reaching across the aisle. There will no doubt be worse movies in the future. No doubt worse propaganda productions are in the works. But for our political moment, where the American dream is being hollowed out for private interests and standards of living continue to dwindle as corporations go into overdrive, figuring out how to make more meaningless art with minimum effort for maximum profit, Captain America: Brave New World is the perfect film for this American era. Hello.
Oh, that's it.
That's it.
Oh, okay, so Rangi could just stay for like just a few seconds.
Yeah.
You could just
Yep.
tell Rangi that.
Sure. Yeah. I had
Get
forgotten when the credits were in this.
fuck.
It doesn't seem like they ended up saying much of anything else about that the propaganda topic.
No,
after
because
I
you're trying to
paused
make
it.
a whole. It was just. I mean, they did. They said that it was
A little bit,
anti-propaganda.
yeah.
It was trying. It was the message was nothing. That it's a movie for no one. No one is like it appeals to no one.
True.
It's nothing. It is literally just there to make money. It exists for no other purpose or reason. It does
Which
nothing
I
for anyone.
guess it
Which
does still fit
that's
into the
fair.
same point, yeah,
Yeah,
that they were
it's
making earlier. So yeah, I think it is consistent.
Yeah. To be honest, for this video, I really have not much to say.
No, that's fair.
That's fair because it's not
Yeah.
focused on the movie itself and more about like what the movie, I
Politics
guess,
around
the
it.
effect of the movie is, like what it says about Disney, what it says about America, yada yada yada, rather than like. And so here's plot point B, where clearly this is fucking absurd that this happens in the movie.
Oh yeah. I mean, so I was like, okay, because when you pinned me, I was like, okay, cool. I'll just break down how dumb this guy's point is. I was like, and then I watched it. I was like, oh, this is
I mean,
about politics.
I mean, I don't think
yeah,
it's a particularly good video, except I don't think it's totally worthless. I think there are solid points in here and
I
solid examples.
probably it is a pretty 5 out of 10 video. I
Yeah,
would believe.
it's just
It
sort
has
of
some
in the
pretty
middle.
good points in it and some fucking not ones. I think the worst one's still like Ross should
The
have been
Trump.
Trump. It's
I
fucking
think
absurd.
I think the better points end up being towards the end as well.
I think that the ones towards the end are just summing up what the content was earlier. It's like restating the thesis that was at the start of the video almost.
Well, I was
Yeah,
thinking with the Ross and leader, or not the Ross, Isaiah and the leader point was a good one.
Yeah, the leader one,
Like
yeah.
that, for instance.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, thank you. I just do something like this, and then they never did that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so hard for me to pinpoint anything because when that person just say like politics, I just kind of was like, okay, cool.
Oh yeah, you zoned out, and we're like, oh okay, I could skip this part until we get back to the movie, and then we didn't because we were the movie. Oh no, the video is secretly about the politics and not the movie. Oh no,
Oh
well not about the
no.
movie, but like it was
I literally
focused
just
on
zoned
like
out.
leveraging the like pointing out how the movie interacted with society, I suppose. Sort
Fair,
of,
yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the theme of this movie is like we are all in this together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think the theme of the movie is to buy more fucking merchandise and more fucking tickets and to give me more fucking money. I think that was the theme of the movie.
Pretty
yeah.
much.
It's just like it's just Marvel needs something to do with the characters they have, so they just throw this in. That's
Yeah, to make money.
They woke up and like I said, they woke up and realized, oh yeah, we can use that celestial thing we had since Eternals.
Yeah, they woke up and were like, oh my god, that fucking is that fucking profit I fucking smell? Oh my fucking god, I fucking love money. Holy shit! And then they made a movie.
Pretty much, yeah.
yeah. I'm
So
so tired.
you
Yeah,
can kick off if you want.
yeah, you can go. I'm gonna also head out. See you, Mr.
See you.
Bergenheimer Dinger.
Goodbye, Sano.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
Have fun with your
Bye.
stream.
Yeah. So I guess I'll just discuss my plans going forward. So the fourth stream on Organized Chaos's response to Alistair isn't happening because I got bored in the middle of editing it because he was just making the same points over and over and over again. So I just was like, all right, I can't work with this. So that's not happening. There's going to be a stream eventually on Lily Orchard's writing tips. We're going to turn that into a almost like a game show thing. And then that would probably be next. And then there's also a video I was going to do, or a response here, I should say, on a guy's video on Only Yesterday that I'll work on. So yeah, other than that, that should be all, everybody.